Hey, good morning, everybody. It is this Sunday show. Yes, Thalo Blue. It is actually called the Sunday Show. The reason being is I couldn't think of any original names, so I suck at naming things. I'm just going to call it the Sunday Show for now. We can call it something else later on. But anyways, I wanted to have the show today and welcome back TrueEmpiricism and Nephilimfree. Yes, they are back and they're in full revisionism mode. I know you guys miss talking about these guys. I know you guys tell me every day how much you guys want to talk about the Clown Car Posse. I keep telling you guys, no, we've moved on. We need to talk about more important things. But you know what? I think this Sunday show, which is the first show we've actually really talked about the Clown Car Posse, we're going to be talking about them because TrueEmpiricism had a hangout last night, which he was by himself. Nobody else wanted to join. And like I said, the revisionism was in full swing. It was epic. It was glorious. I'm so happy that he's back because he's bringing so much more to the table so we can make fun of. And one of the biggest things he was saying last night is that he has never been corrected by anybody. Yes. TrueEmpiricism, in his own words, says he's never been corrected by anybody. And that basically Fiona, myself, Hogtie, JD, Dragnot, we're all big poopy heads. And that we're always wrong about everything. So anyways, Fiona is here. She is doing better a little bit, but just in case she has to like run away, because you know Fiona does that. I'm kidding. I love you, Fiona. You want to tell us a little story about a revisionism that Ronnie's been doing in relationship to something that you reposted because it is glorious. So
yes,
go for it.
Okay, we've never corrected him. Some of you may remember there was a little conversation, and it was about the rainforest. And Ronnie had made the claim in a hangout that all of the nutrients in the rainforest came from the Sahara. And it was all poo-pooed and all the rest of it. And then people looked into it, and they discovered that there's a problem with the phosphorus. And that phosphorus does, in fact, come from the Sahara. And without that, there would be a net loss of phosphorus in the Sahara. Now, Ronnie, for some peculiar reason, blocked Rational Mind long ago. We don't know why, but he did. And Rational Mind made a post. And it was really quite good in that he pointed out that Ronnie was correct, that when it came to phosphorus, yes, it did rely on dust from the Sahara, but not all nutrients. So Rational Mind made this post, very nice post, but knowing that Ronnie had him blocked, I decided that what I would do, and I'm trying to find the actual, I can't find it, what I would do is copy Rational Mind's post. So I did. And I now can't find the blinking application window. So anyway, it was a copy and paste I did. It wasn't a share. Because obviously with Ronnie having Rational Mind blocked, he wouldn't see the share. So I made a post and I said, very first line of the post, TrueEmpiricism, you might not have seen this since you've blocked the original poster. Then I did a line of asterisks, put a YouTube link, and then Rational Mind's post is underneath it. And it could have brought up a good discussion. Cue Ronnie being unable to read the first line of a post. He decided that this whole comment had been made by me and had a hangout called Fiona's Dishonest and One-Sided, or Fiona's Dishonesty and One-Sidedness, where he attributed the entire post to me. But it wasn't my post. Now, people in the live chat during his hangout kept saying to him, that's not Fiona's post. In fact, Rational Mind was in the live chat trying to tell him that the post was not my post. Ronnie ignored that, and his hangout lasted nearly an hour, where I was being called out for all of these various bits of the post, where I was dishonest, where I was one-sided. Sadly, nobody grabbed the hangout. Now, we've been correcting Ronnie on this one for ages. I've called him out on it for quite some time. Ronnie has yet to admit that he made an error here, and that I had never made that post. He has yet to apologise for, on the basis of his error, calling me dishonest. And here I was sharing a post in which Rational Mind is actually saying, yes, Ronnie's partially right here. This wasn't Rational Mind absolutely dumping on Ronnie. He was saying he was partially right.
That's the only kind of right Ronnie ever is partially right, though. I mean, I don't think he's ever been fully right in anything.
Yeah. Or only half-truths.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is at least we'll be able to have a little bit of charity, and we'll give him props when he's even partially right. We're like, oh, you know what? Okay, he made a slightly decent point, even though it's still kind of wrong, but we'll go with it, right? It's like, good, Ronnie, you've been a good boy. It's like getting a participation award, you know. But whatever.
And Rational Mind, even in that post, he provides the reference where all of this about the phosphorus is being explained. It's showing that Ronnie's partially right. This was doing Ronnie a favour. And instead, Ronnie sees this as me being dishonest about him. It could have been a really good discussion.
Yeah, it was interesting.
On that post.
It was definitely interesting. But obviously the first line of the post that you posted, because obviously he wouldn't have seen Rational Minds because he hasn't blocked for whatever arbitrary reason we don't know. But it was very clear that all you were doing was reposting it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Exactly.
It's just, you were just like, hey, Ronnie, check this out. This is, from Rational. I don't know how he attributed it to you. I don't know what in his brain read the first couple lines and said, oh, this is from Fiona. Fiona wrote this. No, clearly she didn't.
Yeah. And also, while he was live on air, you've got Rational Mind correcting him on it. Saying, no, Fiona didn't write the post. Yeah, and he ignored that.
He gets corrected.
He had his hangout.
He gets corrected in the live feed, and he completely ignores it. He was doing that last night when EO, myself, Tyler Durton were like, holy cow, are you really doing a revisionism here, True? You're so wrong. And he just doesn't pay attention. He doesn't care.
Yeah. So I've decided this is my hill to die on, so to speak, because I am so sick and tired of Ronnie and all of this rubbish that this one is the line in the sand. What's been happening is he throws out these false accusations, erroneous interpretations, whatever, and we hold his feet to the fire only until he moves on to the next false accusation. So I've decided that this particular one is the one I'm not letting go.
And that's fair enough. I mean, we need to ask Ronnie, excuse me, point blank, hey, Ronnie, are you going to apologize to Fiona for falsely attributing something that somebody else wrote to her, even though she clarified very, very distinctly in the initial part of that post that this was just a repost? So everybody should be asking Ronnie these questions. Matter of fact, we need to stop, like going in there, and I know a lot of people have stopped going in there to talk about evolution or whatever. The only thing we should be talking to Ronnie about is all his gaffes. That's it. We need to get clarification on all these gaffes. Screw everything else. Screw the intelligent design. Screw the age of the Earth. Screw the flat Earth. It is all just, hey, Ronnie, why don't you clarify your positions on these things? Because it has been going on for so long. And I would like some clarification. Now, he wanted me to come in last night to have a one-on-one. I told him, fuck off. Not going to happen. If he wants to come in, he can come in. This room's open. He can come in and talk to us anytime. But I'm not going to go in there. I'm not playing his little games. But
yeah, can you see my share?
I do not. But oh yeah, yep. See it now.
Yeah, there's the very first line of the post in question. In fact, that's the whole post in question.
Can the outside chat see this? It says, you might not have seen this. Since you blocked the original poster, which was Rational Mind. So that's all Fiona wrote, was you might not have seen this since you blocked the original poster. So she didn't really add anything to it. She didn't take away from anything. She didn't write this. And then Ronnie basically made a video calling her a liar, dishonest person for the content in here, which I don't even know how that works.
Steve, I think it's a bit too small for the people in the live chat to read it.
Can you blow it up a little bit? I'm presenting you, but it's not. You have to. Here we go. Excuse me. I got a little cough today, so forgive me. Yeah, that should be legible right there. And this is dated May 21st, 2017. So, okay, they see it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's it.
All right. So this is a hill that obviously Fiona wants to challenge him on, and I don't blame her. So I want to challenge him on something as well. This has happened last night. EO was witness to it. Tyler Durden was. Okay, go ahead, EO.
I just want to jump in. The only coherent assertions he made last night were that he is now leg pressing 450 pounds, and he's on a new creatine supplement, and that he aspires to bench press 400 pounds.
He did say this, yes.
Other than those three statements, I didn't hear a single coherent statement from him in that entire hangout.
It was weirdly meandering.
Yes.
It was strange, and then he started playing videos, like old videos, but nobody else wanted to go in there. But here's the funniest part: I have had Fiona. Do you remember when I created SDD Kane?
Vaguely.
It was during a TST hangout a while back.
Yeah, that is ringing a bell.
Okay, no big secret, right? Matter of fact, I have on the video, the Wikipedia, SDD Kane is a sock account, right? Well, obviously he has all my other accounts banned. He didn't have that one. So I was talking to EO last night in his live chat and Tyler. And he kept on referring to me as JD Kane. I'm like, it's not JD, it's Steve. He kept referring to me to JD Kane, saying, JD, why don't you come in here? EO's like, it's not JD, it's Steve. Tyler's like, hey, Ronnie, that's Steve. Finally, near the end, like literally like 45 minutes later, an hour later, right? He's like, you know what? I don't think that's JD. I think that's Steve. And we're like, no shit. Is this your brilliant inductive reasoning that you use to come to the conclusion that I'm Steve after everybody's told you how many times I've had this account? And did I not? I swear to God, that's what happened. And did I not tell you guys that he would be like, oh, look at Steve has all these stock accounts. I told you he had all these stock accounts. When I said, I created SDD Kane several months ago. And then I recently created a shit ton of accounts because of flat earthers, right? It had nothing to do with the accounts that he supposedly thought I had during the dumb fuck of the year that I didn't use. I voted for him once. Lamed student actually got his students to vote for him. That was like 100 votes probably or something, which he would have won anyways. But I didn't have stock accounts back then. I had dialectics, and I had my father's account. That was it. Everybody knows this. I've shown this on camera multiple times. And now that I have SDD Kane from a few months ago, and all these flat earth accounts, which are just like, Flatty McFlatface and other shit that you clearly it's dealing with flat earth or has my name in it. I'm not trying to ever hide my who I am. I'm not doing stock accounts to say, oh, I'm not Steve kind of shit, right? He has now attributed that in reversed retroactively back to his dumb fuck of the year thing. It's like, I told you that he was going to do that, right? But yeah, he was like, "Oh, that's Steve. That's not JD." EO, am I exaggerating at all here?
No, he had confused you with JD, and I think Dreg. Fiona, it's really the funniest thing I heard last night when he finally addressed his mathematical errors. He claimed that because he found an apologetic on a Christian website, that he had been vindicated on his strange and bizarre statements on pi. I left after
what?
That. I couldn't understand.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember he said that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So has he finally managed to calculate the circumference of the diameter of pi yet?
He's still working on it, but I guess he thinks it's a perfectly acceptable statement, whatever that means. Yeah, it was really bizarre. I wish somebody would have caught that last night. Yeah, he thought he was vindicated on that. I started talking about the ATP synthase, the 16 kilodalton proteolipid incident. He started talking about all the shit that we've already explained countless times, that no, he wasn't right on. He was just less wrong for the most part on a couple of things, minor points. But for the most part, I think I would actually put a wager on that he's wrong 95 to 98% of the time. Simply wrong. And if if he's happy at a 2% being right, okay, great. But to say that he's never been corrected and that we're all wrong on what we've told him, and we have numerous videos that anybody can go watch, because there was a new person in the feed last night, a guy named Risen L. I think I've seen the name before, but I don't really know who he is. And he was this tribalism, having this tribalistic approach to Ronnie, saying, well, I don't know you guys very well, but Ronnie seems like he's a legit guy and honest. And I was like, oh, you don't even know the history here. I was like, go watch these videos. I have numerous videos on my channel of me correcting him. Fiona has numerous videos on her channel of her correcting him. He's been corrected ad nauseum. And for him to sit there and have the audacity and tell people on a live broadcast that he hasn't been corrected, I was like, holy crap, you've come back with balls of steel, man. I love it, actually, though. I mean, we miss having that type of dumbfuckery around from True. It's been several months, and I got to tell you, I'm actually happy that he's back. And I want to welcome Nephilimfree back as well. We will get to him, but he has a video out also saying that I lied and that I got in touch with him on Skype in order to have a debate with him, which is complete bullshit. The reason I got in touch with him was to invite him to the Geek Room, and even the Geek Room had said, yeah, Nephi, this was completely at our request and behest to try to get you in here so we can fuck with you on one of your videos. So, anyways, EO, what else was in that hangout last night?
Well, it should be pointed out, I had no idea you were there, and he kept trying to say that we were your acolytes following you. I had no idea you were even in the hangout, and he does that a lot, yet it's ironic.
I didn't tell anybody to go over there. I didn't even post his video. I just happened to show up because I saw you in there. When I send people over to a video, I usually let people know. So,
well, here's the interesting thing about my little fight with him at the moment, is that in another thread, he had disappeared after removing this video about me. And he finally popped up again in comments, and I immediately called him out on it. And he didn't want to deal with it in that thread, because obviously it was off topic. So I started another thread just for him. He never turned up, even though I tagged him in it. And then he disappeared again. And I've warned him that every time he raises his head above the parapet, I will bring this up until he grows the cojones to admit he made a mistake and to apologise. And I won't let it drop.
Yeah,
but he just ignores all my posts.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Matter of fact, like I said, like last night he kept saying, "Okay, Steve, why don't you come on in? We can have a one-on-one." And Lottie was over there going, "Hey, yeah, Steve, why don't you do that?" Like, been there, done that. He actually revised the debate too. He actually said, I'm not even lying. I swear to you guys, I cannot make this shit up. I'm like dependent on it. He said that he was unprepared for that debate because he just didn't really care that much about it, and that he was busy doing other things, and he was at work while he was doing the debate, and he was using every excuse in the world to come up with to why he had an epic failure.
Well, what does he do for work?
It doesn't matter.
But he demanded the debate.
He demanded the debate. He had hounded me for a year for a fucking debate.
And now suddenly he doesn't care much about it.
Yeah, EO, did he not admit that he was ill prepared for it because he didn't care about it, and what other excuses did he use?
I left during that section, but Steve, I missed the discussion on TikTok. Did he try to refute TikTok, or what did he say? Do you remember that?
No. Okay. This might take a minute, so bear with me. This is a great story, actually. What happened was, in one of Drag's hangouts, we were in there, as myself, Sam, and a few other people, and TikTok got brought up, and Sam and I weren't sure if TikTok had gills or not, because as most people know, there's a difference between gills, gill slits, pharyngeal pouch, and so we wanted to get the facts straight, right? Because I'm not an evolutionary biologist, Sam's not an evolutionary biologist. He's a geneticist or bioinformatics expert, but we wanted to make sure we got the information right, and so we just validated it. Found out, yes, they have gills, because when if they have gill slits that go to the adulthood, then they have gills. That's like, we don't have gill slits, right? When we're in the embryonic stage, because we don't have gills as an adult. That's how I read it. But we wanted to make sure we got the correct statement out there. Is that right, Nestling?
Yes. Some people do have atavisms that make them have gill-like structures, even as adults.
Fair enough. Yeah, and those atavisms are because of the phylogeny we've had relating to fish and stuff. It's Shakoptegia. So anyways, again, we wanted to make sure we got this right. Well, Matthew Ecclesiastes 3 took this and made our G+ page saying, hey, these are the guys that are supposedly experts, which again, I'm certainly not in anything. I make it very clear I am a perfectly happy layperson. And Sam is not an evolutionary biologist. And he was like, why are these guys checking the fact on this if they know this stuff? And Sam and I were like, are you fucking kidding me? You're actually complaining because we fact-checked something? And Ronnie was talking about in the Hangout last night. He's like, oh, yeah, that's because these guys don't know what they're talking about, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, my God. This is what it's degraded to, that you guys have got to find an argument about us actually fact-checking something. Holy
that is actually
cow.
Scary. That is scary.
And
it explains all this about, we quite often hear them, you're saying something, and then saying, don't Google it, or you Google that, or people looking up stuff to make sure they are correct isn't something that is a problem.
Yeah, and if you think I'm exaggerating, go look at his post.
I am gobsmacked that they find fault with fact-checking. I mean, we know they don't fact-check.
It was cringeworthy. It was cringeworthy. It was so... I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit. And then Matthew blocked me for pointing that out, and then he unblocked me.
Yeah. But here's something that a lot of people might not think about. But when you're teaching to undergraduates, before you go in to do that lecture or that tutorial, one, you check over your own notes, because nobody can be expected to keep all of the information on every subject in their heads. They refresh their memory. And then when you have the tutorial or you give the lecture, you have notes there to work from. Because when you're actually doing that, you can't go and fact check. What do they think libraries are for?
Yeah, well, you make a brilliant point. I mean, obviously, nobody can know all knowledge. And I would think that, yourself, who has a PhD and has done education and teaching, you would want to put out information that, you make sure is correct.
Yes.
You know a shit ton. I mean, probably, obviously, more about molecular biology than anybody in the community. But even you would probably say, you know what? I want to make sure that this is correct, because that's what an intelligent person does.
Yes, I mean, there have been many times where before I've opened my gob, I've gone and double-checked it. And one of the reasons that I will do that, one of the things that will prompt me to go and do that, is if what I have remembered suddenly fits in too neatly to the case that I am trying to make, and I get suspicious then. Because I think, oh no, wait a minute, this is too easy. Have I got something wrong here? And I go away and check. That is what you do. Anybody who is being responsible and attempting to impart information to other people will go and check what they're saying. And then they don't come out with stupid things like, oh, the phosphodiester burn falls apart in water. Sorry. Oh, the 16 kiloton proteolipids in the wrong molecule.
Which he did last night again, by the way. He brought up the whole...
double check it.
Yeah, and this is why one thing we know about the CCP that seems to be consistent, they don't check their facts, right? And they wallow in misinformation. They love misinformation. And Ronnie again brought up that 16 kilodalton proteolipid last night. He brought up the C to 10 to 15 subunits of the C ring, which again I wanted to ask him in our debate about, because he doesn't understand that's the wrong fucking molecule, and he ran away before the Q&A, so I couldn't ask him what he meant by that. So
yeah. Well, I did the video on that one. This is the thing he's forever hammering Sam on. Oh, Sam was talking about the wrong bit of the molecule. I mean, Sam was talking about the wrong bit of the correct molecule, and Ronnie was talking about the wrong molecule altogether.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where the confusion arose, because Ronnie brought up the 16 kilodalton proteolipid, which only exists in the molecule they weren't talking about. That causes confusion.
But he thinks one size fits all. He doesn't understand there's differences on these ATPases. He thinks they're just all synonymous with each other. Even the same components, same things. It's like, wait a minute. I think I had a little video that I tried to explain to him that as well. But yeah, he just refuses to be corrected on that.
I did about 3 hours of checking the information on that one before I made my very short video about Ronnie talking about the wrong molecule, because again, this is one of these ones that was, this is far too easy to debunk. What am I getting wrong?
Well, I had to ask,
I spent 3 hours checking it out before I made a very short video about it.
He actually complained that I went to knowledgeable people for my presentation, not the turbine stuff. That was, obviously I know about turbines, which by the way, he says he knows about turbines now. I kid you not. But I went to experts on the ATP synthase things. I asked, CRISPR. I asked Rational Mind. Aaron Raw provided some help. I wanted to make sure that I got the shit right. And according to Ronnie, that was me not knowing what I was talking about, that I actually go to people in order to help my presentation. And I'm like, I was like, so let me get this straight. So fact checking is bad. Using PowerPoints is bad. And asking people that are experts is bad. This is the Clown Car Posse in a nutshell. These are the 3 tenets of the Clown Car Posse, which, by the way, we are going to add to Wikipedia. We're going to add the tenets of the Clown Car Posse. Those are 3. So make sure you write these down so I can re-add them later.
Yeah.
Steve, to your and Fiona's point, an intellectually honest person will feel as guilty about misinforming someone as you would about someone getting ill at a dinner party of yours. I mean, and to Fiona's point, when I was a teacher, you have a responsibility to make sure that what you're presenting to your students is factually accurate. So I agree completely with what you said.
Yeah, matter of fact, just recently I had a gaffe, minor, but it's not the first time I've done it. I keep on saying Tiktaalik was discovered in Nova Scotia, which wasn't true. Neil Shubin actually started some stuff in Nova Scotia, and where it was actually found, the island that it was found used to be where Nova Scotia's at, but it wasn't Nova
Ellesmere
Scotia.
Island, right?
It was
Ellesmere, I want to say.
Ellesmere
Island?
No, it starts with a G, the island.
Hold on.
I think it's Ellesmere. Anyways, it's on the Arctic Circle in northern Canada.
Yeah, so somebody had actually messaged me, and they're like, Steve, for the 3rd time, it's not Nova Scotia. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I've totally got that screwed up. I knew that it was wrong the last time I said it. I screwed up again. I'm going to make a mental note not to do this. Right?
Do you know why you did that? I think he mentioned that he had taken several summers in Nova Scotia.
He did. I read his book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read Your Inner
Steve,
Fish.
it is on Ellesmere Island.
Ellesmere Island? Is that what it is?
It is on so at least saying Nova Scotia, you were in the correct country. Just the wrong island.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Okay, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like I was like in the wrong part of the world, right? But as
you were on the wrong end of the country.
Wrong end of the country, sure.
Say the correct country.
I'm okay with that. It's a partial whatever. But he had pointed out that millions of years ago it would have been where Nova Scotia's at. But again, yes. I read his book, right? I read Your Inner Fish. I think it's great. I think it's a required reading. Matter of fact, Thalo Blue had recommended we put a required reading list on the wiki. We are going to do that.
How about a suggested reading list?
Suggested required reading list.
Because required means that you must. Suggested is, hey, you might be interested in.
We're gonna call it the suggested required.
But Steve, if I may, during that hangout with G-Man, you kind of undersold Tiktaalik, because wasn't it a triumph of a symphony of sciences? Like, you had geology, you had
yes, of course. I mean, there's a lot of work that went into that, but where to find it, and But yeah, they're just stuck on this whole Tiktaalik thing now. They're like, oh, well, you guys think that humans came from Tiktaalik, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, first of all, it was a common ancestor. But second of all, you don't even know enough about it to even know what you don't know. Right? They're just completely and utterly inept.
It's like, ho, 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 Steve, you think your ancestors came from Europe. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
It's just so bizarre. So what was the 3 things we got to add on the wiki? But by the way, guys, it's coming along beautifully. Oh my God, in 3 days, you guys have done so much work. It's been about 10 people doing all this labor. I wish we can get like 10 more helping, but Pseudo, you've had some brilliant edits. Just simply
I don't edit, I only put up pictures.
Yeah, but the ones you found are just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't demand pictures from me. It takes a long time to find the good ones.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna. So the 3 things that the CCP, what are they called, the tenants of the CCP, don't fact check, don't ask experts, and don't have PowerPoint presentations. So
well, here's the result of their thinking on this, and I quote: "Yes, it's a fallacy of complex questioning. The way that you're using what you're using. You're sitting over here stating that that this is the case, or while if this is the case right here, basically the way that you're using it and the tone that you're using while therefore because the answer's difficult for you to give an answer to, well, then this is the case."
Now, I tell you what, I would love to have Matthew Ecclesiastes 3 or C. Brown or Antonio Fletcher decipher what the hell she just said.
Yeah. Also for anyone who thinks that we descended from Tiktaalik, this is how the transition from fish to tetrapods looks like. Right there. And we have more of the nice show here.
And by the way, I got
you kind of skipped a bit there at the end.
I got to throw this out there. If you guys like the thumbnail for this video, the CCP and a little icon in it, thank Pew Review. Great job on that. By the way, if you have not subscribed to Pew Review, go subscribe to him. The link in the video description. Come on, Pew Review has like less than 200 subs, and that's a tragedy, people. So let's go sub to Pew Review. Anybody watching this video, come on. And he's really good at graphics. I mean, this CCP thing I thought was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So thank you, Pew Review.
Yeah.
Since I can't pay him for his work, I had to put a shout out, right?
Oh, just on that note, talking about subscribers, I checked my emails the other day, and I had this thing of dancing bananas from YouTube. And I thought, what the heck is that? Apparently, I have got my 1,000th subscriber.
Yay! Are you gonna have a 1,000 subscription party like I did?
No, I'm having a 1,000 subscription surgery.
Well, you can have it afterwards. Well, you should have reached that quite some time ago. Again, this is a tragedy that you have.
Anything for ages.
It doesn't matter what you have on there; still really good, though.
Ages.
I mean,
I've just not been well enough.
Somebody put in a live chat the communist clown party.
Yeah, that's. I think that's where he was going with that whole thing, was the communist clown party.
Yeah. By the way, can I point out that the person who initially coined the term, the clown car posse, or as Hogtie Champ says I pronounce it, the clonker pussy, was Alex Botten. He first coined that term, the clown car posse, and did a brilliant description of the car racing around with the odd person falling out the back and them all fighting over the steering wheel. And it stuck.
And we have
so
actually given
Alex Botten.
We have given Alex Botten credit in the Wikipedia that it was his coinage. So if you go to Clown Car Posse and you click on the actual, not the drop down, but the Clown Car Posse itself, it actually describes how that came to be. So yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody is interested in where the inner solipsism of solipsism came from, again, that was a Ronnie in conversation with Alex Botten. which is one of the most
bizarre,
mind awful conversations.
Wait, the inner solipsism of solipsism.
Oh, he was trying to defend that last night as well. It was surreal. I don't even know where the hell he was going with it. I swear I wish we would have got this recorded last night because it was more comedy gold.
Does Ronnie play World of Warcraft?
No.
Maybe he should.
But why?
It will give him something to do on the internet that does not involve debating people.
I think it's more speed as Minecraft. World of Warcraft takes some kind of talent. I mean,
but see, he won't be here bothering us.
But I'm going to try to record his Hangouts from now on. I hate watching them live, but if I have to record them, then I'll give it a shot. But we need to record them as they're happening for this kind of dumb fuckery. Yes. So
I was, if I'd known about it and been awake, I would have grabbed it. But I was conked out. I've been in a lot of pain most of yesterday, and eventually conked out. So I wasn't even conscious when all this went down.
Yeah, look,
this is what's happening with a lot of his videos. Unless I stay up till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't even know they're happening.
Yeah.
So people on your side need to get it.
Yeah, Bohica Dropshort says thumbnail's deplorable. To compare the CCP to the Soviet Union is just bad taste. Tens of millions of deaths through revolutions, murder, and starvation. Well, yeah, we've lost tens of millions of brain cells because of Ronnie's stuff. So I can definitely see the correlation there, to say the least. The med student added something on solipsism on Ronnie's page. I haven't really read too much of it yet. I know it was just this morning.
Yeah.
I get the edits, but I try to review every single edit. That's not a minor edit. So I haven't checked that one out yet, but I'm glad that people have been adding to that because this is a lot of research. This is going on, into YouTube and finding videos that are just old and annotating it. So yeah, this is taking some time, but it's going to be worth it to have this massive repository of misinformation from these fuckers. So
right, I have pulled up one of the best videos ever made called "Insane Clown Fundies" by Max Trivium. That's the one where we all fell about laughing with Max's footage of birds flying. But there's a little quote from Ronnie. Pseudo asked about this inner solipsism of solipsism. Now, this doesn't deal with the inner solipsism of solipsism, but this is what was said. And I'm going to read it out, okay? And this could be painful. The issue with solipsism is this, and what I just brought to your attention was very clear. We have the issue of solipsism. That's why I asked you if you understood what you were saying. You have your mind independently from my mind. Is that clear enough for you to understand that? I don't know how much easier I can make that for you to understand. Your mind, which is independent, exactly, and your mind, which you're looking at from your standpoint, what you're doing. You are subjectively determining reality and assuming that the reality that you are objectively interpreting is the same as my mind, independent from mine, assuming those things that you're looking at are going to be the same as mine. Do you get what I'm saying?
We don't.
No. Oh, Kirsten.
Holy shit!
What the heck?
He's got a mic issue.
So I'm going to put a link to that video into the live chat. Insane Clown Fundies by Max Trivium, where you can actually hear Ronnie saying this.
Yeah. I've already opened it, and it starts with a clip from how is he called again? The comedian.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, yes.
Yeah. Lamed student says we need transcripts of Ronnie's videos. Oh, we have them. Don't worry, Lamed.
Yeah, but, and here's the problem. Anybody who decides to do that transcript, they're never the same again. Look at Dragnote.
We have nightmares. I shake sometimes at night from transcribing these things.
This is why I don't watch Ronnie videos. I watched 3 of them once.
Yeah.
Where he was addressing somebody, and in all 3 videos, I'm assuming they were all made on the same day, at the same time, and then just broke them up over a period. It turns out, no, they were actually separate videos on separate days. He walked around wherever he lived in a bathrobe, laying on a couch, and you could see the same garbage laying beside the couch, like papers and a Dr. Pepper bottle. You mean to tell me in 3 days he didn't pick up the bottle? Throw it out?
Whatever.
It takes me longer.
Yeah, I've got a bottle of rum here that I've had on my desk here for 2 weeks. So, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, somebody in live chat has asked a question, which actually is pertinent. Are the moths going to be mentioned on the wiki?
The moths.
The moths, yes. Do you not remember it was the moths what done it? When I sat and got drunk on TST.
Oh, is that when you were shooing away invisible things?
No. It was somebody's somebody's comment about the moths. I think it was that chap Sean, the naval nuclear guy.
Refresh
and
my
he said
memory.
something about moths and factories.
Oh, you mean
And
you talking about
yes,
the peppered moth?
Peppered moths, yes, the peppered moths.
Yeah, and his comment was just really, really weird, and it was the final straw for me. And I sat and got drunk on TST.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I know they had a deal with peppered moths. They what happened was at one time they were doing a shoot, and they actually, to recreate something, they actually stuck moths to the trees with pins, right? Because it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
And so they were staging a photo thing, and these idiots think that that's how they did the experiment, or that's how they observed them over a period of time to see the phenotypical change because of natural selection. They think this whole experiment or whole paper or on natural selection was fabricated because of it, because they don't fucking read it properly.
So the experiment, based on what you're saying, Steve, is we go out and pin moths to trees.
Yeah.
Come back in a few days to see if they've evolved and changed color.
I guess so, or they think the whole thing was just fabricated from the get-go. Who knows with these fucktards, right?
He was talking about a factory and the demolition of the factory.
I don't
and
know.
Something. It was something really weird,
Bizarre.
and it just.
Yeah.
It was just one too many fuck-ups for me.
Well, Sean
got drunk.
Sean was the guy that supposedly taught physics and water chemistry that didn't know the difference between an isotope and an ion. So, yeah,
that happened.
That happened.
And the last time I heard such a claim about the peppered moths was about how they don't rest on 3 barks for some reason, and they claim that they were staged to be on 3 barks, like you just said.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But why?
But there was a study done by someone I can't remember, and he demonstrated that they do rest on 3 barks.
Oh yeah, there's been a couple done. But here's the thing:
how to train your moth.
So let me ask you, why are they trying to debunk natural selection when even creationists, even the most stringent creationists like Hovind and Sarfati, have both said they accept natural selection? Why would are these guys dumber than these guys? Yes, by the way, I know that's a rhetorical question, but
yes, so some creationists don't want to accept a little bit because it makes them too afraid to accept it as a whole.
Well, Sarfati had actually called these guys idiots. I've talked to him, and he said, if they don't accept natural selection, then they're just dumb, kind of thing. So
and there are creations that do accept natural selection, but they don't call it evolution.
Right, and they're playing a word game, but they understand that the effect happens because of selective pressures. They do know this. This is not contentious stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I've proposed the experiment that they can do if they want to debunk natural selection, but none of them have taken me up on it yet. Well, let's put it this way: they've certainly not reported back the results of their experiment. And the experiment I proposed is this: go out and find some roadkill. You'll need a male and a female. Bring said male and female roadkill home. Put it in a small pen in your back garden. Observe it. Does it reproduce?
Oh, if it wasn't for
that animals don't breathe.
if it wasn't for the
exactly.
if it wasn't for the morbid aspect, that would be an awesome video to make. But it's kind of morbid.
Well, I have another experiment. Or take an egg and drop it to a tissue paper. And
okay, nestling. Until you can explain problem, solution, you cannot mock Mr. Intelligent Design.
Well,
I repeat the experiment until you
Nestling,
have...
Mr. Intelligent Design is brilliant, dude. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant scientist.
Yes.
I'm not even exaggerating on this particular thing. What he wrote for his wiki page, by the way, we did allow 2 or 3 people to write their own for various reasons. There are always loopholes. We could not have done a better job.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing of dumb fuckery, and he actually is serious about it. And there's a disclaimer at the top, I forget who put up there, that actually says this is what Mr. Intelligent Design actually believes. He wrote this, so it's awesome.
he thinks that when we're talking about a population of organisms, he thinks the word population is synonymous with intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a language barrier or something?
No, he speaks fluent English.
No, it's not. It's not a language barrier.
No, how can you make such a mistake then?
It's a
Really?
thinking barrier.
Yeah, really?
He wants population to mean intelligence, because I kept telling him the definition of evolution, which was the change in allele frequencies within a population over generations. I'm saying that it's populations that evolve, not individuals. And he wanted to substitute the word intelligence to where I use populations.
We're going to have to put that in the lexicon.
Design. Yeah.
We're definitely have to add this. We have in the wiki. We have a lexicon that I started, and we're going to be putting things like the inner solipsism of solipsism. So, that's a hard thing to say if you really think about it. On there, we've got some other quotes on there. We've got sharpshooting. We've got hangout sniping. But I think we're going to actually add some definitions like evolution. I'm going to put it as something like the change of allelic frequency of a given population. From one generation to the next generation over time. I think that's a consistent thing that we all kind of use, so I'm going to put that on there. And I'm going to have a lexicon of just, things that we...
Don't forget the definition of evolution.
Yeah, well, definitely add evolution too. The CCP version of evolution. So we're definitely going to create a lexicon and throw this shit in there for posterity.
We need an article written on how birds fly.
Bird fart propulsion theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to put that in the lexicon? Bird propulsion theory. Yes,
definitely.
All right, I'll put it in the lexicon as bird fart propulsion theory. So.
Yeah, that was a very good one. That is in the Max Trivium video that I linked in the live chat. There's the little bit of that hangout where the air goes straight in one end of the bird and straight out the other end. It wasn't Ronnie that was saying it. But you hear Ronnie actually say, yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, we put that on Ronnie's page that he agreed upon that.
Yeah.
Somehow it makes me think that Ronnie has a soundboard. So you say something and he just presses a button on the soundboard of either he says something where he agrees, disagrees, or says something counter. But it really doesn't matter. He just presses buttons.
Anarchy asked if Mr. Intelligent Design is going to get his own webpage. Oh, he already has one. It is glorious. Go check it out. I mean, I could not have written anything close to this. The quality
Steve,
of work.
I put a better name in the group chat.
The what? Huh?
In the group
I'm not looking at the group chat.
Oh, all right.
I've put something in our side chat. It's a linky poo to Max Trivium's video.
I think that's the one we actually. I think that's the one we actually linked. Yeah, I think we actually added that already. Is that the one where he has like the transcript going like from left to right and moving around?
No. This one is transcripts going up through.
I'll look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one that's got the clip of the birds farting across the sky.
Nestling said, you want to use avian flatulence propulsion theory instead?
Yes.
All right,
I think
all right. Yeah, I like that.
I think it's funny because it takes it more seriously than it deserves.
Yeah, no, I'll use that. I like
Yeah.
that. Avian flatulence propulsion theory. You know, like I said, the whole wiki. You got to remember the wiki's for everybody. Nobody owns the wiki, right? Not myself, not Drag. Well, Drag thinks he does, but nobody, not Cal. The wiki is for every. But the wiki's for everybody, right? It is. Anybody can edit. Anybody can make changes to a certain point. Right now, I'm only having it for the great debate people, though. Because we actually have to get it going, right? But after that, we might let the CCP. I don't know. But if you're in the Great Debate community, you can add to these things. Again, this is a community effort. So by all means, go in there, add some pages, add what you want. It just has to be, truthful for the most part, a little bit of, comedy and a little bit of satire. But like on Ronnie's page and those guys' page, I think everything on there is completely legit for the most part, right? I mean, except for some hyperbole, which is clear hyperbole. Yeah, this is all real shit.
Yeah. I mean, can I just say one thing though? It's the live chat's prompted this. Mr. Intelligent Design. While I may not agree with what he's coming out with, he's actually a really nice guy.
Yes, Edgar's a nice guy.
He really is. He's a lovely guy.
I like Edgar.
So patient. He's so patient. He is not nasty. He's not snarky. He's not dishonest.
Intellectually, maybe a little bit, but
he's kind of narcissistic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Maybe he thinks he's like the greatest scientist on the planet. But I agree with Fiona. He's just still a really nice guy. I have nothing negative to say about him on a personal type level, by all means. And he gets this is a satire a little bit too. And so I know he's in the Clown Car Posse, which is a shame, but he is a nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
No,
really,
Steve,
really nice
he is
guy.
not in the Clown Car Posse. I petitioned to you and stood up for him and said, no, he should not be on that list.
Oh,
nor should he be in the morons list. He should be on the notable guests of the Great Debate community.
That's right. We did move him. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely, because I think to be a member of the CCP, it's not enough to just be
I agree.
crap at science.
Yeah.
There are certain qualifications you need to be in that group, and one of them is abject dishonesty.
No, I think you're right, Fiona. I do. I think he's already been moved out, but if not, I'll make sure. But I'm pretty sure that he has been. You're right. So there's like 14 people, I think, in the CCP right now. But there might be one or two more added. I don't know.
They deserve to be there.
Oh, by far.
I listened to your interaction again with Nephilim when you were chinning him over his wildlife translocation / chromosome translocation debacle. I don't even know whose hangout it was, but you put up a video using a clip from it, and I checked it out again. I've forgotten just how infuriating.
How many times did he? Yeah, how many times? 6 or 7 times was he dodging my point that I was making to him?
Well, it's not just that. He rage quit the hangout 3 times.
Oh yeah, I kept coming back. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. But that link, you put it onto the wiki, so I was able to go back and actually look at it. And I think the wiki is going to be a very, very handy place for cataloguing interesting, in quotes, interactions.
I do too. As a matter of fact, it's going to be.
Wonder,
go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the interactions that we have with people can be really difficult to find because you don't know whose hangout it was and all the rest of it. There are other bits where it was just a little side issue, and so you get no chance of looking on the right channel. I just wonder if it would be worth having some sort of like database on the wiki, and it could be done by sort of like by person rather than alphabetically, and it's interesting clips and just a list of the clips and what a brief description of what was interesting. So if you're looking for where person X said such and such, go to the database and have a look down. Because I'm always hunting for stuff.
Yeah, no, we could. There's a lot of things we got to add like that. So, I just tell you that this is going to be far more popular than a Encyclopedia Dramatica. I hope, because we're going to have more references and better references for our videos and other people's videos that actually do document this stuff. And by the way, I just made Jackie Kite an ad or a spanner in the live feed because Red Eye, you were so mean and hates puppies, timed her out. So. And by the way,
what?
It was Cal that deleted the puppies page, Jackie. I restored it for you, by the way. It's such a non sequitur that is beautiful, so I am keeping the puppies page.
Yeah. And when I figure out how to make galleries, I will be filling it with puppies.
Yeah.
So someone in the live chat is asking about a fusion event in more prominent lineages, except for apes. And I know of some. Like, for example... Oh.
Sorry.
For example, you know the dog kind, that is called dog kind, they have extreme diversity in chromosome numbers. For example, the red fox has, I think, 34 chromosomes, and the grey wolf has 76. More than twice as more than the red fox has. And that already shows a huge amount of diversity within them. And then there are papers about how the chromosomes number change over time within that group.
You know, we let that drop too. That's a shame, because when now that Ruhif's feeling better, I know he wants to bring this back up, and I don't blame him. I want to bring it back up too. We have to document the whole fiasco with Ronnie not understanding the simplest things, like what a telomeric repeat is, thinking that TAAG or something, or anything that has a TA, C, or G in it is a telomeric repeat. I mean, it's just bizarre. So we have a whole page going to be dedicated to that incident, along with the DNA degrading in water incident. But these are going to take several weeks, if not even months, to probably to annotate, even close to where we need to get on these things, right? So,
Fiona, can you put what I have put in the group chat into the live chat for the one who asked that question? I think it's Jim Hill asked that question.
Yeah. I remember Ruhif talking about this. There was a Chinese muntjac and the Asian muntjac, or Indian muntjac.
Yeah.
And one has 40-something chromosomes, and the other one is in single digits.
And I think there's a lot of intermediary between them too. I think there's quite a few that have different amount of chromosomes.
And yet they are very closely related to each other.
Well, what are muntjacs? What are they?
Very small deer.
But I still haven't figured out what causes them to have so many chromosomal fusions.
Do you know, I came across something about that. Can't remember it, mind.
I don't think even Ruhif really. I think he was going to look into that. I don't think he's found out either. I don't know if there's something. Maybe there's something wrong with the telomerase process or something. Or
I came across something. There's something inherently problematic. But for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. It's all in the dim and distant past.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've
so much.
Yeah.
And I've been sort of not really sort of doing much in the community recently, just the odd comments on G+, and I've not even been watching stuff.
Well, after you feel better, you know.
I have read somewhere that chromosomes who are prone to fusion are very acentric. They have a very short arm and a very long arm.
Yeah.
These chromosomes are very prone to fusion.
Oh, because of they're acentric?
Yes, their arms are very different in size.
Because most of our chromosomes are pretty. The centromere is right in the middle there, right?
Yes.
For the most part.
Some of them have a very short P arm.
Yeah, some of them are a little bit off, but I mean they're not like really down at the bottom or anything, right?
Yes.
With really short P arms. Jackie, did you hear me? I made sure that puppy page came back because it was deleted.
Puppy! Oh, I didn't know it was deleted, but for some reason I can't type in the chat anymore. I went and got water and I came back.
Because Red Eye hates puppies, and Red Eye chimed you out for 5 minutes because he's just like that.
What? No.
And Jackie, as a consolation prize, you got a spanner.
Yeah, I gave you a spanner instead. So that now you can't ever be timed out again. Because Red Eye, in defense with Red Eye does do moderations for Pimp Monks, and of course Pimp Monks gets a lot of trolls, so it was a reflex, a natural reflex. So don't blame him too bad, Jackie. And it's only 5 minutes. Should be off by now, and I did give you a spanner.
I did stop at my last puppy. Like I wasn't gonna.
Well, you can't. You can only post like 5 before it gives you an automatic 30% or 30-second timeout. But Red Eye hates puppies, so you can bitch at him for that.
Who hates puppies? Come on.
Red Eye!
Yeah, come on, Red Eye. Really? Why do you hate puppies?
Why'd you do that to me?
Wow, you made Jackie cry. We haven't seen Jackie cry since G-Man made her cry.
Oh boy.
Bringing back old memories on that one.
Oh, yeah. I don't like thinking about that.
All right, I tell you what, Jackie, go ahead and talk about puppies for a minute while I use the restroom. Because I've made a lot of coffee, but you want to you can talk about puppies.
Steven needs a baby.
Thank you. Well, you know what? I guess I could use a what did MK used to use? A Gatorade bottle or a Coke bottle? What the fuck did he use?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm on air. Give me a Coke bottle, Ma. Yeah. Oh God. The things we've seen. All right, I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really talk about puppies because my husband objects to me talking about his puppies live on air. He says they're his puppies and he's keeping them private. Sorry about that. I had to throw that in there. Yeah, very sick family here.
Oh, I wasn't even gonna come in here, but now that I'm here, hello. I haven't talked to some of you in a long time.
Yes, I have been wondering where you were. I haven't seen you around, but then again, I've not been around much either. I've
been. Oh, I miss you too. I've been looking for a job, so.
No luck so far.
No, I'm.
It sounds like he's chewing tinfoil.
No, I was putting I get a large coffee every day, so I nest them into each other and then put the lids on top to keep them together.
Oh, okay.
So you're hearing the crunkling of the plastic lid.
Got it. But yeah, I came in like second place to get like 4 different jobs, and I'm tired of coming in second place, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but are you at least hearing you're coming in second place?
Yes. Like I was always like the last of, like there's. In all these scenarios, I was told I was second in some shape or form. The first time was for graphic design for Robomans, and she was like, yeah, it was a really hard decision between you and someone else, but I chose this other person. And then the second time, the guy said, you're our best candidate, but I have 2 more interviews just for formalities. And then he called me and he was like, yeah, we found a better candidate at the last minute. So and there was another time where I was in the final 3 and you were like, yeah, it was so close, it was between you and this other person, but so like they were all worded differently. Like they didn't say, oh, you came in second place, but like it was always like, oh, there was one other person who was more qualified for this job.
That's a shame.
And they weren't like they were full-time graphic design positions, and
yeah,
I keep getting so close and then nothing, and it sucks because now I feel worthless.
That must be soul destroying.
It is. I'm very depressed. It's like I just keep failing. You'll get there, don't worry.
You'll get there.
I'm back.
I mean, let's just say it's a way worse feeling than G-Man trying to call me a racist.
Yeah.
I would much rather be dealing with online stuff than having to be rejected.
I'm surprised they don't throw that around more often. I mean, they accuse people occasionally of pedophilia. They accuse people of bigotry, but they don't throw the race card around. I mean, I don't put anything past some of these people. I really don't. The accusations they make that are just so ungodly, just unjustified. You know.
I wouldn't say that they don't ever they hardly use the race card. Like I don't know about lately, but I remember a lot of times, specifically even G-Man saying like all the atheists are racists.
I think he's backed off from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give him props. I think he has. I think he's backed away from that kind of negative rhetoric, inflammatory rhetoric, to say the least.
Just in a sort of related note, though, I came across a comment by Gordo FX, and he was saying that one of the reasons that he lost his faith, one of the reasons, that's not the only reason, was the amount of misinformation or false information that was being used in an attempt to support the faith. Because when somebody gives you a reason for why God is real, and that reason that they give you is so much marsh gas, you know, it's a really bad reason or it's a really bad argument, it doesn't do a lot for what it is you're trying to say. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why, I mean, a lot of people do this. A lot of Christians get involved in this. And I mean, off the top of my head, the person who springs to mind for me is Jade West. That's why, you know, and I'm in the same boat. I mean, I can see the damage that is done by these bad arguments, especially when you get right down to it and start getting this, oh, all atheists are X, Y, or Z, and yet everybody from their own personal experience knows that that is not the case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they kind of lump everybody together, and even though there's like certain people that are atheists, not one size fits all, right? And then I mean, you have a hill to die on, so I'm gonna choose my hill to die on, I guess. I've had a few hills. I haven't died on any of them so far, so keep trying, CCP. But yeah, keep shooting me.
Always give it a challenge.
Yeah, it's not working. My numbers are going up exponentially. My viewers are going up exponentially. Everything's going up across the board of the metrics and the what I call business acumen. If you look at the metrics, they're all going up dramatically across the board, which again may plateau out, may go down. It happens, you know, up and down. But anyways, my hill to die on is that G-Man has said that I have stated that one, and I'm not talking about a nominal case, not a trivial case, but because of, you know, words, just somebody saying something. But somebody could actually say that they're an atheist and believe in a God, which is a contradiction. Right? Yeah. Now, somebody can say that. That's a nominal case, right? I can say, oh, I'm an atheist and I believe in a God, but that would make no sense. But he actually is making the argument that I'm maintaining that somebody can actually be an atheist and believe in God. And I've asked him on one of my sock accounts, because he's blocked most of them on his videos, because G-Man does that. In fact, if you go look at one of the last video or two that he has, it'll have like 30 replies or some shit like that, and like three of them are shown, right? Because it keeps track of the replies, so you can see that these have been deleted or not, you know, shown. But I've asked him, I'm like, where did I say this? What video is this upon that I can go watch this? Or excuse me, what it contained in, I shouldn't say upon, but contained in, where is this? I would like to know where I've actually stated this, because this would be asinine. And of course, Veckel would be like going, oh yeah, well, you know, Steve says things like that. It doesn't make any sense, but you know, Steve says like that. And Veckel didn't even bother to go validate this. He didn't ask G-Man, well, where did I say this where I can go see this? No, he just took it at face value, without any type of validation whatsoever. Because we've learned what's the one of the rules of the CCP? Don't fact check, right? Mm-hmm. Fact checking is wrong.
And also believe anything the other member says.
Yeah, we'll add that in there. Tribalism. That, you know, anything that any CCP member says, any other member has to believe, with the exception of flat Earth, because they do have some.
Do you remember? I can't even. It must be about 2 years ago. When Stizer said something in a Hangout.
Wait, Stizer said something coherent in a Hangout?
She didn't say coherent.
Yeah. I just he said something in a Hangout that Veckel was in. I was in that Hangout. Now, I said nothing. Okay? And Stizer said something that Veckel considered to be racist. So Veckel decides to start the comment with Stizer had said something racist, and guess who was there justifying his comment? And he named me. He then spent 2 days building up to his Hangout due on a Saturday night where he was going to call me out for my racism. And everybody kept saying to him, go check the footage. Fiona never said a word. And he wouldn't do it. He refused point blank. He set the rumour off that I had said something racist. So, of course, I'm getting posts coming in from people all over the place. Yeah, it must just be UK people that are really racist and all the rest of it. On the Saturday night, Veckel's Hangout went live, and the first thing out of his mouth was, before I came on here, I went back and I checked out the Hangout, and I have to apologise, Fiona didn't say anything. He'd spent 2 days building it up, calling me out for it, in the face of everybody saying, go watch the Hangout. She never said a word. You were in it. And he didn't bother to check it. And I remember being really angry about that. I think that was roughly the same time that G-Man did that to Jackie.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, well, so Neffy did eventually check it, though, right?
Veckel.
Oh, Veckel checked it. Okay, Veckel checked it.
Veckel.
But has Neffy
checked it.
Has Neffy acknowledged anything?
Neffy about the do you mean about the chromosome?
No.
In the wildlife.
Oh, I got confused. I thought you said Neffy had accused you of that, and then Veckel looked into it.
Veckel.
Okay, it's just Veckel. Okay, I got confused.
Veckel was in the Hangout.
Gotcha.
I said it to Veckel.
I got
and Veckel decided to blame me for it.
Okay, so I got, for some reason I threw in Neffy there. I don't know why. Yeah. Okay, so I understand what's going on.
And Veckel cannot remember that incident now.
Oh, of course not. Why would he validate that actually happened? You know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was waiting for this Hangout. Fiona's getting called out as a racist, and his first words were, "Oops, I got it wrong."
Well, again, I mean, don't you think? Okay, we've been around a while. Don't you think that when something that sounds out of character for something, most people that are rational and go, you know what, that doesn't sound like Fiona. I have to look into that, right? I mean, for example, if somebody said like somebody was a flat earther or something, and I said I don't remember who it was, and it could have been Jason Rev News, but I said that's just not. Yeah, I think it was Jason. I was like that doesn't sound like him, and they're like no, he's full flat-tard now. I'm like, okay. So I asked him. He's like, no. Why would you think that? So I mean. Again,
but it was so easy to go and check out. This is the thing. It was so easy for Veckel to actually go and re-watch the Hangout that he'd been in, where it was said to him. Yeah. But he didn't do it. Yeah. He spent 2 days spreading the rumour and building it up.
Persecution porn.
And some of the, I mean, I had 2 days of getting private messages coming in that were, well, pretty shocking to say the least.
Yeah, well, you know, if they're gonna attack somebody's credibility or their them as a person rather than the arguments, they're gonna leap on that rather than actually validate anything.
It was just one of those things that you think, why don't you actually, before you throw out accusations, go check the facts, especially when people are telling you, here's where you can check it.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah, but they would rather. I think it's the desire for the persecution porn.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Which I think I added to Lexicon. If not, I need to. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember if I added.
I think
that already.
Has got to be added because they will find that persecution wherever they can. And if they have to make it up.
Isn't it the fallacy? Isn't it the fallacy when you believe if someone is saying you are wrong, the more likely you are right?
The persecution porn? No, the persecution porn is this need for people to feel like they're being persecuted against personally because of their religious beliefs or their ideology, vice the arguments that they have.
It sounds a lot like the fallacy. I don't know what the fallacy is.
No, it's not a fallacy. It's just basically they like to have some kind of weird fapping masturbation to masturbatory
that they have persecuted me, so they will persecute you. So they think it's a biblical validation for what's going on.
Yeah, there is a biblical validation for it as well. Yes.
Yeah, it's because early Christians were persecuted.
Yes.
So to be a Christian, you need to be persecuted. So they go out of their way to look for things or to do things to get you to persecute them.
Yeah, in the scripture
and that could
be
as simple as simply just calling them an idiot and a moron. Oh, they're now persecuted. Yay,
I'm validated.
Points.
Yeah, I did write the thing for the persecution. I need to add that in there. I need to have the scripture that they refer to. The whole thing about that is, oh, yeah, well, obviously I'm promoting the truth because they're calling me an idiot. That's their reasoning. Yeah. That's their logic.
So it doesn't matter what truth they say. As soon as you call them an idiot for it, they get God points and they're going to heaven.
Exactly. So we'll
take care of it. Ignore the point that maybe people are calling them fuckwits, not because they're Christians, but because they're fuckwits.
No.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Let me go check the facts here. No, it's definitely because of their religious beliefs.
Yeah, it's like, you hate me because I'm a Christian. No. It may be that people hate you or hate what you're doing because what you're doing is hateful. Nothing to do with your faith.
Fiona, how is spreading the word of God hateful?
Do you know how many times recently on the video, the debate with Ken Hovind, the after show especially, how many people are on there going, well, I can say a lot, but a couple of them have been going, you sound mad, Steve. Why are you mad against God's word? And I'm like, this has nothing to do with religion. This isn't even about theology. This is about science. I'm not mad at any of these. I don't know why they attribute these emotions that don't exist. If I'm mad, I'll let you know. I will say, hey, you know what? I'm really pissed off about this. And that does happen. Or you'll hear me get angry, which a lot of times, isn't really the case, but I mean, for emphasis. But I mean, I don't really get mad over any of this shit. And I certainly don't get mad when we're talking about idiots and how they're completely bastardizing science. And so these religious fanatics, these evangelists that come over to that page and ask me, well, why you're mad, Steve? I'm not. By the way, that video has now been the most popular video that I've ever had in a matter of like a week and a half.
Speaking of which, wasn't there a part 2 coming?
Yes, there is. Part 2 will be on June 30th. It'll be 5 to 5:30 Pacific time, which is 7 to 7:30 Central time, which is Kent's time, I think. It is going to be glorious. Definitely going to be doing it this style. I'm going to have our chat. I'm going to have Ken Hovind's chat, both shown. Links could be provided for everything. They're going to put our links on their video. It's going to be twice as big as the other one, I hope. So
that'll be good. What date is it again?
Nestle, you're making some weird clicky noises.
Oh, sorry. I was talking about this fallacy, the Galileo fallacy. But it's not identical to the persecution complex.
Yeah, I've heard of this
it's closely related.
Yeah. But I'm actually going to be moderating this one a little bit more. They said they're going to have Q&A. Kent's secretary said, awesome. Now, I know this is a double-edged sword, right? I understand giving him attention is just what he's wanting. But I think King Crocoduck has done a wonderful, masterful job so far, demonstrating that Ken is woefully out of touch with the last 10 years of research, the last 10 years of people finding out all his arguments are just complete crap, not being able to understand basic things like relativity. So it is a double-edged sword. I get it, but...
Well, I mean, relativity isn't a basic thing. But yeah, Casey destroyed him.
Well, it is kind of basic. In fact, that look at curved space. That's what it is, right? It's just curved space. I mean, I'm not saying that relativity is easy, but I think most of us who've had any kind of experience in any sciences have some experience in learning what general relativity is. I think it's kind of a mainstay of scientific academics. I mean, we all kind of have had a little bit of a lot, and so I don't think if I asked anybody that has any kind of scientific training if they knew the difference between general and special, they wouldn't be able to answer. I think most people would.
So Steve,
special is about motion and general is about gravity.
Right, so the laws of physics are the same for all observers and all reference frames. There are no purpose reference frames. And a really cool way to see that is, for example, the reason that we need to have the speed of light constant is that anyone observing, for example, using Maxwell's equations, C has to be constant, and that's a way I had explained to me recently that really helped.
Right, and see, here's the thing that really kind of irks me when Kent does things that are so duplicitous that anybody, again, that has any understanding of physics can just easily look at it and go, what the hell? He, on his feed, when we were having the discussion, he was showing his slides, right, which were grossly out of date. But anyways, one of the slides he had shown was that light had slowed down. We had slowed light down, which is kind of a weird thing about using crystals, and that he interprets that, and he explains to people that C is now variable. That somehow that because we can slow down light, the constant of light speed, which is light in a vacuum, has somehow changed. And I don't even remotely know how he makes that jump in reasoning.
Because he's completely ignoring the part where it states that light speed is measured in the vacuum as the medium. And therefore, if you change the medium, you can't make the same claim. Yeah, well, the vacuum. I wouldn't say the vacuum's the medium. The medium is actually light actually making its own medium. It's actually propagating through its own medium, through its electromagnetic, wave. But yeah, he doesn't get that C doesn't change. Even if you slow the speed of light down to a crawl, C is still the same.
Yes,
it's just taking a longer path.
Yeah, but remember, they don't understand that when you talk about light years, you're not talking about time, you're talking about distance.
I think Hogan got that, actually.
Yeah, that's what he thinks we understand.
Hey, I did the Kessel run in 11 parsecs.
10 parsecs.
10 parsecs.
Yeah.
But I think that is a fundamental problem.
It's 12.
Was it 12? I thought it was 10 parsecs.
12 parsecs.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to argue.
Whatever. But same principle, right? Yeah.
Technically, the light speed cannot change. It only takes a longer path in like a medium.
Yeah, but even that being true, right? C itself is called a constant for a reason. Constants don't change because then they wouldn't be constants, right? They'd be variables, veritables, right? We got to have that in Lexicon too. Somebody add veritables, please.
Veritables.
Oh yeah, the veritables.
The veritables.
Oh, by the way, can anybody remember who it was that declared that C squared is the speed of light?
C squared?
That was Nephilim.
Yeah.
No, I think it's got that confused with the Einstein equation, E equals mc squared. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a larger form of the equation.
With the momentum. Yes.
Right. Plus mp squared.
No, he was talking that in that equation, C squared is the speed of light, and we were saying no, it's the speed of light squared.
Yeah.
No, he's getting a formula confused. It doesn't say what he thinks it says. There are formulas that use C squared, but they're in reference to an entire length of the Maxwell equation.
Yeah, no, this was him talking about what C squared stands for.
He thinks that's the speed of light.
Equals mc squared. He thinks C squared is the speed of light.
Sake.
Yeah.
He didn't realise it was the speed of light squared, and it's C is the speed of light. He thought C squared was the speed of light.
This was one of their science go-to guys. Yeah, this formula is for like the magnetic constants that utilize C squared, relating to electromagnetic constants, and there's also C squared obviously in E equals mc squared, but I think it's E equals mc squared plus mp to the fourth, right? For the momentum and position, but that gets factored out in most cases. But yeah, I mean, if you think C squared is equal to the speed of light, then that's just potato.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that's another word we're going to have in Lexicon. Potato.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have our own speak, right?
Also the... Go ahead.
What killed me most in the Casey Hovind debate was when Mr. Hovind was not understanding how there can be something that has more than 3 dimensions. That more than anything else. Like, don't understand relativity? Fine, I don't either. But that was just hilarious. And speaking of bullshit like C squared being the speed of light, what, if you don't mind, what did Ronnie say about pi exactly? I'm just curious at this point.
Oh, God.
Fiona, go ahead, take this.
Right, okay. Apparently, the value of pi is dependent on the units that you use to measure the radius, the circumference, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do it in cubits, pi comes out at a different number, apparently.
Yeah, but can we get a sigh?
I mean, there's a couple of things it depends on, but that's not one of them.
No, he also declared, well, he asked Brenda if she could tell him, oh God, what the circumference of the diameter of pi was. Yeah, because I don't think he understands that pi it's a number and it's a constant.
Technically, it's a ratio, right? It's an abstract number.
It is, that's right. It's
Yes.
a ratio.
For any circle and for any unit of measurement, it is precisely the ratio of the circumference to the diameter. It is it is unit independent. It is circle independent. Any circle, any system of measurements.
Except if you use units that are logarithmic or something like that.
Nope.
Yeah, well,
Well, they should
can we
still
just stick
maintain
to-
the ratio.
Yeah, the ratio
Yeah,
would be maintained. But he also, apart from, thinking that that ratio depends on the units you use to measure it, that brought up a brilliant meme. Somebody did a picture of a circle and its diameter measured in, I think it was centimetres. And then they brought up one of it measured in cubits. And then they did one of it measured in fruit pies. And it was one of the funniest memes I had ever seen, and every time the ratio was 3.14 blah blah blah. But Ronnie didn't get it. And in fact, in that hangout, it was where he was sitting trying to calculate this.
Yeah.
And he at one point took 20 minutes to work out what 30 divided by 10 was.
Yeah, that's not even a joke. That's true.
20 minutes.
That's true.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Hi, Hogtie.
Yeah, he was.
Hey, Hogtie, what's 30? What's 30
Hey,
divided? Hogtie, I know you're kind of smart. What's 30 divided by 10?
Just let me mute my microphone. I got to get my calculator app and.
You want to go to Wolf and Alpha?
It was baffling.
I'm not trying to sharpshoot you.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, it's baffling because you think, okay, what actually is he trying to calculate? Like, I get that, if he was saying, well, I'm going to use the value of pi to try to calculate what the distance across from rim to rim should be, but it wasn't. It just seemed like he was, oh wait, I'm calculating, and it just seemed like he was going back to this 30 divided by 10 thing, and I just like. And I mean, the whole thing was just baffling. And I mean, what I found interesting about it too is that for all their criticisms that, oh, atheists don't read the Bible, they don't know what they're talking about, they don't know context, and blah, blah, blah. To be one of those guys, all you have to know about the Bible is that there are no contradictions in the Bible. There are no contradictions in the Bible. That's all you have to know. That's all they say. And anytime somebody points out something to you that's a contradiction or that is something unpalatable, like the Bible supports slavery or the Bible condones rape, I think it does condone slavery, but not rape, but that's a separate issue. But anytime somebody says something like that, it doesn't matter whether their criticism is merited from a reading of the text or whether the person doesn't know what they're talking about. All you have to say is, well, you don't know the context. What's the context would explain that, but they never have to offer up the context. And I found it weird because in that discussion, they're like, okay, where is this? Where? They don't know the story. They don't know this vessel that's being discussed. They don't know the story about this temple, right? They don't. And that's actually the important feature of the story. I'll say to interrupt myself, I actually don't think the Bible says pi is equal to 10. I don't think, or pi is equal to 3. I don't think that's what.
I don't think so.
Wrong.
The text actually says.
I think it's a bad argument. Yeah.
Yeah, it's describing it. It's describing this vessel because it's relevant for whatever reason in the story of this temple. But when brought forward, not only were they not familiar with this criticism, they weren't familiar with the apologetic response to the criticism, but they weren't even familiar with the underlying Bible story. And for somebody who claims to be knowledgeable about the Bible, because after all, the Bible is written by the creator of the universe, your personal friend. You have a personal relationship with this creator of the universe. So you should know this stuff. For them to sit there and go, well, where's this story? Oh, okay, it mentions a cubit. Okay, what's a cubit? What, tap, 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 tap. Everybody's looking, how do you not know what a cubit is?
Wait, I don't remember that part. He didn't know what a cubit was?
I don't think none of the let's say CCP.
I know Veckel probably would have, but
none of them. You think Veckel would? Yeah, I mean, none of them knew what it was. And granted, I mean, this might be a bit of arcane or obscure knowledge, but given that they express their familiarity with the Bible, I mean, it's just funny on so many levels, because if they're talking about pi, they should know it doesn't matter what a cubit is. But it's not that obscure bit of knowledge, but especially if you're familiar with these stories, these are things that you would know. In this case, it doesn't even matter anyway. And at one point, was it that Matthew fellow was one of the guys? I don't want to pin it on the wrong guy here, but he says, well, wait a minute, how big is this guy? Because when they mention, oh, it's from the, it's the forearm to the tip of the finger. And he goes, well, wait a minute, how big is this guy? Is he like 8 feet tall? And, what does that matter? Yeah. So the cubit was a standard unit of measure. I mean, they define it by this is, roughly how long it is. But it wasn't the case that each individual had their own cubit. It's like when we say a foot. if you say, well, I need you to, this wall needs to be 20 feet long.
Oh my God.
The climbers don't take their shoes off and then start walking heel to toe and say, well, this is my 20-foot wall, and that other guy built a 20-foot wall. It's different. Like
whose foot decides what the foot is?
One second. Point of order, Nestling. Hogtie, during the Renaissance, there were actually different lengths of rulers that were all called a foot.
Yeah,
depending on what, primarily in Italy, depending on what city.
Yeah,
it wasn't even that.
Was it the king's foot? I thought it was.
And that's why it changed.
Does not go back to that.
But
the length of the foot of your thumb was
guys,
an inch. The length of your forearm was a
Terry,
foot.
if I may. The length of the foot didn't change necessarily in the length of the ruler. It was also sometimes how many inches were just within the foot.
There you go.
So the inch could be the same size, but one ruler was 10 inches long, another was 12, another could have been up to 18. It's irrelevant how long the ruler is, provided that when you build the wall, you use the same ruler.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. I would be precisely incorrect to say that there was a standard cubit that just at all times, because actually different cultures had different cubits.
That's true.
So
wasn't there a Hebrew cubit and the Egyptian, the royal?
Yes.
Cubit?
Well, I think the point is, though, no matter what cubit you use, if you're using cubit over cubit as a ratio, pi is going to be the same. If you use different measurements, you're going to get some weird, but
maybe if they'd used cubits, they wouldn't have the problem
probably
of the
not.
mirror.
Yeah. But his reference to this individual, how big was this guy? Like somehow, But yeah, it didn't vary from person to person. Yeah, there were cultural differences, and it changed over time. And these are things that later civilizations sought to correct. Except, of course, for the Americans and their preference for ounces being different from other people's ounces. But whatever, so they can do their thing.
Steve, to Hogtie's point. If Ronnie dug a hole for himself, all he had to say was use the standard apologetic. These were ancient times, and it should be pointed out. It took Archimedes, I want to say 287 BC, to come up with the first good approximation of 3.14.
Well, that's what I said initially. I was like, look at even when I was listening, I was like, all they got to do is say to Brenda, well, that's just an approximation. And even Brenda had said, had they said that, she would have moved on. She'd been like, okay. Because that's a good enough.
That baffled me.
Yeah, it was strange.
Because everybody understands that it is an approximation.
But it's exactly what Hogtie said. They didn't want to admit they didn't know the story, and I think epistemologically that's the issue here. It's okay to admit you don't know something rather than make up a tissue of lies to defend the inerrancy of something.
But they love to do that.
But actually, here's an interesting thing. Hogtie will remember this. Hogtie, you brought up something. That the laws of God are written on men's hearts. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And G-Man demanded a biblical reference for it, and I provided him with one from Romans. He'd never heard of it.
Yeah, and then actually there was one from Corinthians as well. He then later said, Well, I mean, actually, to clarify, I hadn't actually said that it was the law that was written on their hearts, which actually would have been a little more correct. It's a little closer to the scriptural account, but it was the idea that there's I think I set up morality or a moral code, that is the notions of right and wrong are written on people's hearts, and he'd asked for a reference. It was the Corinthians one I gave him. You'd give him the one from Romans, and he says he then reads it clearly unfamiliar, clearly for the first time. And then he says, well, the word used here is law, therefore you're wrong. You know, and it's just one of those things he simply cannot admit. Oh, okay, well, this is a good point. I think that was also the day that he challenged me to a Bible off, and the way that this Bible off was going to work was he would ask questions and I would answer them, and then he would judge whether my answer was correct or not. And there's a great moment in that discussion where he asked me how many doctrines are in the Bible, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. There's dozens, and I wouldn't know how to put a number on it, like, whatever. Like, and he's like, well, don't evade the question. I'm saying it's not evading when I say I couldn't put a specific number on how many doctrines there are. And he says there are exactly 2 doctrines in the Bible. Was it the doctrine? What's that?
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the reference that I had given. The reason that I gave the reference that I did is because it used a word that I thought was very appropriate in the circumstances. And it's Romans 2 at 12 to 16. But the one that was important was 15. They show that the work of the law is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness. I used that one because it used the word conscience.
I have to say, I love the quote that General taught me, which was Ephesians, the clashing of symbols. I actually think it's a really beautiful piece of writing, and puts how I would like to see Christianity.
And by the way, can I also point out that quote that I just gave, I don't even know what version it was from, but I've just pulled it up on the King James, because people will complain it wasn't the King James. So here's King James, which show the works of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness.
Oh, but which revision though, Fiona? Which revision?
That's the King James. Just thought I'd throw that in there. But I remember that conversation, and it seemed that G-Man had never come across that before. Which surprised me.
He's got a few bits memorized. And like there's a couple of word-for-word quotations he'll provide in pretty much every Hangout. But as far as having good general knowledge of the content or the context of the Bible, or certainly the context in which the Bible was written, he has none. Like it really surprises me sometimes. I don't question his sincerity in terms of his attachment to the Bible, but at the same time, like acknowledging that, I'm then even more surprised at his complete lack of curiosity about what the Bible actually says. And he's really defensive about it too. Like the idea that somebody else might have read or understood the Bible or might come to a different interpretation is infuriating for him. Like he just loses his mind.
Unless you're one of the brothers in Christ, right? Because he admits Veckel probably knows more about the Bible than he does. That's Veckel, his go-to guy.
That's true, yeah. Which is funny because just to go into the other stories, what happened was he says, G-Man asked how many doctrines are in the Bible. I'm like, oh, I don't know, there's dozens. Like I wouldn't even know how to put a number on it. And he's like, don't evade the question. And no, I don't know the actual number. Why? He goes, there's exactly 2. And I think his answer was there's the doctrine of angels and the doctrine of demons. Now I might have the names for those wrong. Basically, it was sort of good doctrines and bad doctrines is what the Bible talks about. So I said, well, you're talking about sets of doctrines. And at the moment, I don't even remember, and at the time I didn't either, but remember the actual reference where he's getting that from. Where there is a description in there somewhere at the back, I don't remember where it is, but about people need to be mindful of these doctrines that are good doctrines, and then these doctrines that are intended to deceive and lead you astray. And so I knew he was referring to something that was familiar to me from the Bible, but I didn't remember the actual passage he was referring to. But I also knew that he isn't referring to specific doctrines. Those are sets of doctrines. When you talk about doctrine of angels, you're talking about sets of ideas, and the doctrines of demons are sets of doctrines.
That doesn't make sense because I mean, I went to a Roman Catholic school, and wasn't it concerning God, concerning man, concerning sin, concerning redemption? are the major works of doctrine within the Bible.
It depends how you're defining doctrine at that moment in time, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's the word usage, right? But can I ask, Hogtie, have you noticed when it comes to things like that, where there's some ambiguity of what they're asking for, if we don't have an immediate answer for whatever they think the answer should be, all of a sudden we're dodging or we're avoiding.
You're dodging, and then you're wrong, and it's because you don't know and because you're dishonest. And it wasn't just because it wasn't that he wasn't clear in his question, or his question is actually outright misleading. Like, to ask how many doctrines are like biblical doctrines there are. I mean, it's just any number of things you can pull out of the Bible and label that a doctrine. And it was just funny though, because he said that I was, okay, well, you're talking about sets of doctrines. If you're talking about, okay, fine, yeah, I just sort of know generally which part you're referring to, but that does not qualify as me getting that answer wrong, because you asked how many doctrines come out of the Bible. And Veckel had come in partway through that conversation, and G-Man had kind of made this snide comment about, well, can you believe that Hogtie didn't even know about doctrines of angels and doctrines of demons? And Veckel's like, yeah, I don't see why this is even a contentious point. Like, obviously that's what it is. But Veckel hadn't heard the original question. So then I said, well, let me ask a question then. G-Man, do you believe in the doctrine of salvation by grace? Yeah, he does. Do you believe that doctrine comes from the Bible? Yes. Do you believe in the doctrine of the resurrection of Christ? Well, of course. Right? I said, okay. So those are from the doctrines from the Bible, but you're saying there's only two in the Bible, and those aren't them.
Oh God.
Yeah. And then Veckel was a little confused then, and then G-Man says, well, it's just that's what Hogtie doesn't know what he's talking about, or something like that. And I said, well, how many doctrines would be in the Bible? And Veckel goes, oh, geez, there could be any number. Like, there's just, I wouldn't even know. There'd be dozens of them. Like, I don't see why you guys even argue over that. I was like, well, Veckel agrees with me then. And then G-Man just, next question.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
As soon as Veckel and Veckel didn't even realize what the question was. It wasn't like Veckel came in and said, no, you're wrong, and Hogtie's right. He just answered the question, and he went, oh, okay. Gave the same answer I gave. Now, said G-Man's over on another topic now.
Next question. Why? How can a dog become a non-dog?
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Yeah, I heard he's on that stuff again. The dog.
Oh yeah, he's actually got 3 videos on it now on explaining. He's explaining macroevolution in his creationist version of it, rather than having to do anything with actual macroevolution. It's the greatest straw man of all time.
I put a response on the Great Debate community about that.
I read that today, yeah. Actually, I was quite glad to see that. And I had heard, luckily I knew the context for it, because I know that he's still up on this dog, non-dog thing. I wonder if G-Man's ever going to watch this, because I want to give him some sincere advice on this point. He doesn't seem to realize that when he does stuff like that, when he has to start game playing with words and not actually address, he tips his hands that he doesn't have a way of addressing it. And this is the especially sad part about it when it comes to evolution, because of all the variety of topics that we discuss in this community. The proof of common ancestry, the justification for our belief in common ancestry, is the one issue that we start out any confrontation with us on the ropes, right? As much as we want to say, well, prove that Jesus Christ actually had a ministry and died and then was buried and rose again 3 days later, we can then sit back in our chairs and cross our arms and say, come on up, bring up that proof. Prove that Noah's flood is real. That's just a story in a book, right? So it's up to you. But when it comes to this idea that there's universal common ancestry, that we are cousins of chimpanzees and carrots and Brussels sprouts, they've got every good right to sit back in their chair and say, we'd like you to prove that common ancestry. What is the justification for your belief in that? So they're actually starting in a good position there. But then G-Man goes to this goofy argument about, oh, well, how can a dog become a non-dog? Well, it can't. Yeah, well, yeah, you say it can. No, I'm actually literally right to your face right now saying it can't. No, but you still believe it can. No, I don't. Right? It's as dumb as well, how can we be a fish and not a fish at the same time? And I can prove there are no real atheists. Well, do you believe in shoes? Yeah. Well, I could imagine some guy that I might know that might think that a shoe is a god, and you believe in shoes, therefore you're not an atheist. Okay, when you do any of that stuff, you tip your hand that you actually don't have any response to things that we actually say. And it's funny.
They really don't. Yeah, they really have no comeback of any kind of scientific refutation G-Man has been explained countless times by myself, by Neslig, by people that are much more versed in these topics. Hexapod Avenger, who, by the way, hasn't been around a very long time.
Guess who is now in the live chat?
All right, G-Man. So he doesn't understand the difference between a monophyletic and a paraphyletic and a polyphyletic clade. I mean, he doesn't know these things, even though it's been explained to them countless freaking times. So, yeah, I mean, there's no way you can go with somebody who doesn't want to learn the actual science, right? I mean, if you want to have a strawman science that you're arguing against, and all you're doing is building this FSG that you're putting up there to burn yourself. Okay, great. It doesn't do anything to further science. It doesn't do anything to demonstrate that you're right. All it does is you're making an argument for something that isn't the case. You know, and no matter how many times you tell somebody you don't believe it, they still say, "Well, you believe this." Well, no, I don't.
Well, and if he wants to talk about dogs, I mean, why spin your wheels on this discussion, this straw man discussion about how us believing that dogs can turn into non-dogs? In one of his recent hangouts, he had something about what if a dog became a rabbit? If a dog became a rabbit, would you? No, if a rabbit became a dog.
No, rabbit dog became. His argument was. And again, we know what he means by a dog becoming a rabbit. He means a population of dogs having a population of rabbits. At least I hope that's what he means. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But again, I'm not certain of that, right? I really don't know. Yeah. I think he literally thinks that one day a dog's going to go to sleep, and next day it's going to wake up, it's going to be a fucking rabbit.
No.
I don't know. I'm telling you, Hogtie, I don't even know half the shit these people believe. I've had people tell me that according to evolution, if you jumped off a cliff, you should sprout wings. That's what it teaches. I'm not putting anything past these people anymore.
May I, if nobody minds here? G-Man's in the live chat.
Yes.
So I want to ask him, have you yet pulled True Empiricism up for the hangout about Fiona's dishonesty, where he did the whole hangout based on a comment that somebody else had made, but which True Empiricism said I had made? Have you called him out on that yet, G-Man? Because I'm still waiting for the apology from True Empiricism, and I'm still waiting for him to acknowledge that he got it completely wrong. Or is Ronnie just going to hide under his bed and then claim to have never been corrected on anything? He's been corrected on that one, pal. Have you called him out on it yet?
Yeah,
Fiona's dishonesty and one-sidedness. The hangout was called.
Fiona, I'm going to take your question as rhetorical, because you know that he hasn't, you know that he won't. I do know that because I know I've been missing a lot of the material lately, but I do know that G-Man's really kind of taken up the cause. He thinks that we've been really super mean to his friend, True Empiricism. And I've reflected on this myself too. I think there's some things that some people say that we don't need to do that to each other. We're supposed to get along with each other. We could treat each other a little bit better. I do think we all need to reflect on that. But that's almost a side point, because the thing that G-Man's complaining about with regard to what we say about True Empiricism is that we're attacking him. We're just constantly attacking him. Well, we just hate him because of all this truth that he's. Look, I mean, the thing, our concern. I mean, we all actually like Ronnie, at least in terms of, his health has gone up and down. There have been many of us who've been in his corner. It's like, oh, I hope this gets better. I think he's been generally happier in his life, and I think we're happy for him in that way. But then we also get increasingly frustrated that it just seems like I didn't watch his hangout last night, because I know what he said. Oh, I've never been corrected on anything. Oh, I have to correct all of them all the time. I'm constantly correcting them. And I know it's something about the title being plans for his channel. I'm sure he's got all this idea that his thing is just super awesome. And it's like, I've said it before, and I'm going to use the same expression. We've really gotten to the point in this discussion where if Veckel diagonally parked against 3 handicap parking spots, and somebody went up and said, oh, excuse me, can you please move your car? That those guys would all rally around him and say, you're attacking him because he's a Christian. Mm-hmm. We simply can't tell Ronnie, look, you're telling lies about this now. Like his claim that he's never been corrected by any of us, not even once, and he has to correct us all the time.
It's just simply absurd.
I haven't seen it lately, but I'm suspecting he's pimping this story about the we were talking about unbalanced.
Yes,
Sorry,
he
balanced.
He pimped it last night, dude.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He'll just.
Can I make a very quick point? Because I'll just go back and do some more.
One sec, Just. He actually attributed that to me for some strange reason last night. I'm like, I had fucking nothing to do with when they were talking about it in Sam or Drag's Hangout. I wasn't even there. And I actually had said in Hogtie, I had actually messaged you. And did I not say I think Ronnie's actually right on this?
Oh, sorry. You took him to the Downs thing?
Yeah. I actually sent you a direct message, and I said I think Ronnie's actually right on this because I remember Fiona talking about this, and I think in 4% of some of the cases I found out Ronnie's actually partially correct on this, and I actually messaged you on that, and then Ronnie's saying, "Oh, Steve didn't know the difference." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me, Ronnie? I mean, seriously?"
Yeah. Just to. I mean, I don't know how interested people would be in the sort of the conversations that took place that night, but my first indication actually was I had seen somebody resharing Ronnie's video first. And I laughed because I saw the title about, educating so-and-so and so-and-so in Hogtie, or I say Sam and Hogtie and whoever. I was like, I love when Ronnie makes a video titled Educating Somebody. And it was short. It was like 6 minutes long. And I started watching. I'm like, why is he picking on this Down syndrome thing? That's weird. And then as I'm listening to it, as he's playing that part of it, I'm like, well, we're not wrong about that. It is surprising me. Well, I'm going to do a quick search, and as I'm doing a search for the information, he then plays that clip from that other video where they list amongst the consequences of unbalanced Robertsonian translocation Down syndrome, and I'm like, what? And around that time, I'd found it on the Mayo site. The very next thing I did was I started typing out a post saying, it's funny when Ronnie says he's educating us, but it looks like he's got this one right. And then I finished it, and I was going to proofread it, and I thought, my Skype, I'm going to send Ronnie a message on Skype, and I'm going to say, hey, good one. And I kind of congratulated him, like, that was funny, actually, that that you did that. And then I hit post on the thing, and then I saw your message, and there was another one from Rational, I think it was, and maybe Steve. So you guys had messaged me first. That is true, but I hadn't seen the messages until after I had already looked into this and scratched my head and went, oh, damn, I guess I'm wrong about this. And then also sent a message to Ronnie over Skype. He replied with a childish, like, I can't believe what he did on Skype. He couldn't, like, the thing is, we usually have good conversations behind the scenes. I think that, G-Man and Ronnie, and used to even be the case with Nephilimfree. We're cordial to each other. We tease each other sometimes, but there's genuine respect there, but not from Ronnie. His response to me when I said that on Skype, he was a jackass about it.
Yeah, and I still maintain he was only partially right. There was still, the way he was presenting it didn't make any sense, but we knew where he was going with it. But still, yeah, he basically said last night, well, Steve, you didn't know what this was. I'm like, I did understand it because I pay attention to Fiona. Fiona has talked about this before.
Is G-Man banned?
Do you mind if I just make a very quick
point? Sorry,
point?
Dress. Let me get back. I'm sorry, Dress. I didn't mean to forget about you. I'm
trying to be good and not interrupt people. This is my post-solstice pledge. Okay, just a couple of things. I think when I've talked to G-Man, and the only time I've ever had any sort of traction on that is I don't use the words "we come from this, we come from that." I actually say, because he agrees that dogs come from wolves. Yeah, he said that multiple times, and the way that I think we need to put it is, will the ancestors of dogs ever stop being wolves? Because that's really the simplistic level of the argument.
The descendants of dogs.
Yeah. So I think we need to do the descendant anti-descendant thing, but use really simple language, because then it doesn't allow them to sort of fly off on a tangent. The second thing is I put up a post up against TE, and I said, you're stating this. I've never claimed I know shit about biology. I'm really crap at it. It's probably my worst scientific subject by a long way. But if I want to go and get information on a topic, I'm going to go to someone that has the education, the training, and actually is involved in the methodology and the process on a day-to-day basis, because they're the people that have the depth of knowledge. And there is a difference between having superficial knowledge and depth of knowledge. And when I want someone to teach me something, because I train people, it's part of what I do as my job, I have to train people. And I need a depth of knowledge to be able to answer, some really kind of wacky questions. I need the foundation of what I'm talking about, and that's what I have. And I'm in IT, but there are areas of IT where I will go to a specialist, because whilst I might know the higher level, the more superficial level of information, I don't have that depth. So then I will bring in a resource to help me that has a deeper knowledge of that particular area of IT.
But according to the CCP, that is prohibited. That's the CCP says you can't do that. The CCP says you cannot fact check or ask experts in a particular field.
Well, no, I mean,
that's what they said. That is what Ronnie said last night. These are his words that he has said, because we had actually had to, go validate something that we didn't know what we were talking about, because we had to go validate. That was his argumentation on that. So he actually believes.
At what point? To validate what?
Hey, I'm Fiona. I'm just.
It was around Tiktaalik and whether Tiktaalik had gill slits or lungs.
Yeah, and so
was the particular topic.
We had to go validate. We had to go validate if Tiktaalik had gills, because Sam wasn't sure, I wasn't sure, Drag wasn't sure. We just wanted to check and make sure. We said, okay, so Shakoptagia, so it has gills, blah blah blah, and Matthew's Ecclesiastes 3 made a post saying, these guys could say they know what they're talking about and they like biology, but they had to go check to see if it had gills, and we're like, that's your complaint.
And they see that as a failing.
That's as a failing. Yes,
a failing you wanted to check.
Yes.
Remember, these are the same guys. I got to jump in at this point, because I just thought about this. For some reason, this crossed my mind this morning about how when Arcane was making a point about bird anatomy, and there is a good point to be made in here, that the birds do have a different overall design of their respiratory system, in the sense that
quite a bit.
The air doesn't go into just one big, or one or two big bags like they do with us. They go into the lungs, and then it goes back out the same path that it come in. Whereas the birds, it goes in, and there's sort of these tubules that goes through, and it still goes back out through the mouth. So it's a little more efficient. But Arcane had said that it comes in through the mouth, and then it goes around and through the body and out through another opening. No. And Ronnie said, no, wait, let's check on that. Let's make sure we got that fact right. No, that's not what Ronnie said. Ronnie said, I was just going to say that.
That's right. We have, in fact, I linked to Max Trivium's video from that earlier on today, where you hear Ronnie saying, yeah, I was just about to say that. What Arcane actually said was the air, it goes in one side of the body and it goes straight through and out the other side.
Out another opening, or I think he said another opening or out the other side. Was it? It was one of those. We can check it.
He said the other side.
Yeah, we're actually. I think it was Nestle that came up with it. We're gonna on the Lexicon, the Wiki Lexicon. We're gonna call that avian flatulence propulsion theory.
Yeah, an avian flatulence propulsion theory.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Like, so so many times somebody gets something wrong, or sometimes somebody says something in a Hangout and you don't correct them, but you sort of agree with the generality of what the person's saying. I get all that stuff. But what did Ronnie do in response to that? He removed the video and then said, oh, well, they're lying about what Arcane said. Arcane actually said this, and he made up complete bullshit. It was, more certainly closer to what bird anatomy actually is, but he has to rewrite history. He has to say, well, this is the thing that Arcane said.
I think
he couldn't simply say that, oh, well, Arcane got this wrong, or he chose the wrong words, but at least acknowledge that he said it. Because the thing is, when it came to, and I'm the one with egg on my face, I am the one who said the thing about Ronnie being fractally wrong when it comes to these Robertsonian translocations. And I said he even gets these little details wrong that everybody knows. Like, he thinks that Robertsonian translocations cause Down syndrome, and that's just not true. And, okay, so it is the case that some small percentage of these Robertsonian
indirectly.
Well, yeah, not in the person who gets it, but in the children of people that get this unbalanced Robertsonian translocation, they get Down syndrome if it's specifically chromosome 21. And and that actually explains about 4.5% of modern Down syndrome cases. So that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, the extra chromosome gets assorted because it is attached to another chromosome.
Yeah, so Ronnie makes a small myopic point, then that's like bravo.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, So there's a situation. I'm trying to contrast a situation where one of us says something that's wrong, and others should have spoken up about or something. Because what I said was precisely wrong when I said that Robertsonian translocations don't cause Down syndrome. So a very specific type of Robertsonian translocation causes a genetic change for someone that their children may then have Down syndrome, and that represents a little fewer than 1 in 20 of modern Downs cases. Nobody in that hangout said, "Oh wait, Hogtie, you're wrong about that." If Fiona would have been there, I bet you she'd have jumped on it, and I bet you I had to learn something right then and there from Fiona. I might have still done a search for it and went, "Really?"
Well, the reason I know about it is because one of my friends, her first child had Down syndrome, and they did genetic testing, and they discovered that she had a 1 in 4 chance of having another Down's child because of that problem. And that's how I knew about it.
A carrier of the unbalanced translocation. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, oh no, sorry. No. I think it was a 1 in 2 chance. I can't remember how it works out for her, but there was a big chance.
What chromosome? What chromosome is fused?
It was a really weird one. Sorry?
Well, what chromosome is fused in her case?
I don't know. I can't remember. We're talking going back to when I was in my 20s.
Isn't Down's an extra chromosome rather than a fused one? I don't know. I'm asking that. In most cases, but there is a small percentage where there is a fusion event, and that is the cause of the extra genetic material. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing we're all taught in school, and the thing I was referring to, you're normally taught that Downs comes from a non-disjunction event. So when the chromosomes split to create the gametes, one chromosome number 2 goes off this way, and the other one goes off this way, and number 3 goes off this way, the other number 3 goes off this way, and there's a disjunction of chromosomes as part of preparing the gametes for later fertilization. But in the case of chromosome 21, and I think it happens with 13 as well, and maybe 17 or 18, 18, I think. Sometimes they just stick together and they both go into one gamete and one's left without and the other one has it. That's my recollection of the most common explanation. So in the case of chromosome 21, you'll have a gamete that has one of each chromosome, and then either one X or one Y, but not both. And then you'll have 2 copies of chromosome 21. Well, then when it joins up later, it'll with a gamete from the other parent. Well, now you're going to have 3 copies of chromosome 21. Hence the name trisomy 21. And I'm going to tell you, I had made a wisecrack about learning about that stuff in like grade 10 or something like that. But I'm going to type. Please don't repeat out loud. I'm going to tell you where I had last learned this, and you guys could all feel free to chuckle. I don't want this repeated on air, but literally that's the place where I'd last learned it. This is how little the idea of a Robertsonian translocation, as opposed to the conventional chromosomal non-disjunction, the Robertsonian translocation being the cause of somebody being like a carrier of Down syndrome, and being the explanation for nearly 1 in 20 Down cases. It's just really not brought up that much, even in universities.
I just want to make one other quick point as well. I had to do a couple of speeches last week because I do, a reasonable amount of public talking, and this specifically was around the general data protection regulation that's coming into force next year in Europe, which is going to affect everybody in the world effectively. And someone, I had a Q&A session with the audience, and someone said, "Oh, how long have you been an expert on this subject?" And I laughed and I said, "I don't think I am an expert on this subject, but I have studied it." And I always get very, very nervous when people describe themselves as experts.
See, I don't have a problem with that, though. If somebody just says they're an expert, if they're an expert in the field. Yeah.
No, when other people describe you as an expert in the field, I have less of an issue. But I think there is something, certainly, IT as a subject is an ever-changing topic.
But I don't have an issue with that. I mean, Fiona said, I am an expert in molecular biology. That's perfectly acceptable. I mean, she is an expert in that particular discipline.
Well, although I don't think that Druss is really commenting on the appropriateness of the term, but about the kind of feeling we get in response.
He's talking about the meta. He's talking about the meta aspects of it.
Yeah. And it's about the hubris. It's about believing that level. Because Fiona is, she has that thing like me where, we'll make statements about stuff, and we're happy, if we're confident about our statements, there'll be a lot of confidence in our voice. If we're not so sure, we start using the terms of unsurety, like I think, I believe, as far as I know, because I've heard
I'm okay with that.
And when we're wrong, and this is something that's common with most people in the rational side of the community, we go, shit, we fucked up. I've learned something. I've made a step forward.
I'm sorry, I said, speaking of fucking up, I said Druss. I think I meant Neslick. Or was it Druss? Who was it? Who said that? Druss. It was Druss. Okay. Okay, I fucked up about fucking up. You very rarely encounter an actual expert who introduces themselves as, I'm an expert in the following thing. So even if it were appropriate for somebody to say that, it certainly raises suspicion.
Sure, I agree. I hear
quick on Jade's recent posts, her concerns about Mary Taco Hovind. And Jade had brought to the attention of several people. I mean, more people should be following her because she posts such interesting stuff. Like, she's just piercing with some of her stuff. But she did tag particular individuals to be like, you ought to take a look at what Hovind's new wife is putting out about. She's got a basic course in immunology now that she's teaching, and part 1 is not quite 11 minutes long, somewhere between 10 and 11 minutes long. And I made it through the first 6.5 minutes of it, and had still not heard one word about immunology. Everything is about, the experts and the scientific, she introduces herself as someone who's having studied all this stuff. And I could get a medical doctorate, but I don't want a medical doctorate, because once you get your license, then they just control you.
That's when they put the brain chip in.
Yeah. Well, the thing, she doesn't, this shows how little she knows about it. She doesn't know the difference between academic credentials and professional credentials. So you can get an MD and not ever get a license to practice.
Yeah. So you don't have the title of doctor, as a physician doctor.
Physician, right. Physician. So you would still correctly be called in the same way that we would, for example, call Fiona. We can call her Dr. Robertson,
but she's not a physician.
We not refer to her as a doctor, and certainly wouldn't refer to her as a physician.
Right. Okay.
And that's true of somebody who has an MD. You can say that they are Dr. So and so, but you shouldn't call them a doctor, and especially shouldn't call them a physician, because those are.
But can't you say something like Fiona would be like, she's a doctor of biology? You wouldn't say that.
I suppose if you said she's a doctor.
If you added that qualifier in there,
I don't know. That's
I don't think it's wrong to say it. I'm just wondering,
Hog type. It's people who are medical doctors, physicians, typically use that extension on the name of doctor. People who have like Fiona, I've met a few who don't use it unless they're talking to people within that field and circle.
Yeah,
it depends.
It stops confusion.
Well, no,
if you go to Germany, at the beginning, everybody uses their educational title, and Nestle will back me up on that.
Yeah.
The etymology is somewhat ironic though, because doctor is literally the Latin for he who teaches, and you'll see this in French and Spanish. They use medico and medicine. Can I just speak to Hogtie's point? Hogtie, you missed a discussion a few weeks ago. There was this Christian apologist, and he was horrible. And it was the worst appeal to authority possible. His responses literally were, I study philosophy, you guys are wrong. He wouldn't explain where our errors or fallacies were. That's what he kept repeating. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me in the course of discussions, your erudition should speak for itself. You shouldn't have to brag about it, unless you're in a conference or something. And I think that's a good point. Like if you're knowledgeable in a field, it'll come out when you discuss things, and other people will notice it. You won't have to club people over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that there's also the fact that there is a certain, I think the more you know about a subject, the more you realize how much you have yet to learn.
Exactly. Drag and I were just talking about this the other day. You have to have a baseline knowledge in a certain field just to understand how much you don't know. And we can see this on the other side, where they don't even have that baseline knowledge to realize how little they know.
I don't think they even have a basics of the basics.
Yeah, and I want to say this again real quick too, about going back real quick to G-Man's point about how they're attacking, his friend. Look, to point out that True Empiricism doesn't have the basics in some of these things. or to point out that I'm going to pick on one mistake that I know Ronnie's been rewriting history for some time on this one. But when Ronnie referred to the, I'm going to screw up now, the 16 ADK proteolipid.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's what he called it.
Yeah, and he did it repeatedly, resisted correction on it, and then he later, okay, you're right, it is KDA. And he then says, oh, well, and they make a big deal out of this. And it'd be like me saying, Anthony, or I mean Antonio, right? He so often retells these stories as if he misspoke for a split second and then immediately corrected himself. He never tells a story like he went on with some bullshit for months. The thing that's peculiar, and I apologize, I'm going to bore the people who've heard this story before, but the reason why it's relevant, he said, the reason why it's relevant, that he wasn't just he called it by the wrong name, because you don't say the 16 KDA. It's kilodalton. Anybody saying it out loud would say kilodalton. And the fact that he says the 16 ADK, as if that were the name of the proteolipid, shows that he knows so little. He doesn't have the foundation to even know how these things are discussed or how they're mentioned in actual books.
Yeah, he thought that was actually part of the name.
He truncated it. He truncated its name eventually. He took the 16 off the front and called it the KDA proteolipid.
The KDA
proteolipid. Where did he do this? I have not heard that one. That's new to me.
Now, I just want to point something out to the audience.
I want to highlight why
I didn't understand why that was funny.
Otherwise, this is pointless.
All right, Joss, hang on. Hogtie will get to it. Explain to people why that's funny.
Yeah. Because it would be like if I told you that I bought a car that was, I forgot how mileage works now. Is 25 miles per gallon, is that good or bad?
25 is, yeah. Not that great.
Well, suppose I told you I bought a
45 to 60 is very good.
It's quite good. Well, okay, I told you I bought a Dodge Neon and it gets 25 miles per gallon. And you want, when referring to this car, instead of calling it a Dodge or calling it a Neon, you called it the PMG car. Right? Yeah. You took the units off of one of the attributes of it and then mixed up the letters of the units and said, oh, yeah, no, I hear Hogtie got a new PMG car. And then people are like, I just called it by the wrong name. That doesn't mean I'm not an expert in automotives.
I've got an analogy for you here. It's a bit like thinking pi is a metric rather than a ratio.
I was just going to say that.
See, that I did find funny because I understood it.
Yeah, I did not hear him ever call it just a KDA proteolipid.
I did.
That's the title.
Later.
So,
and it was all. I think it was in a written comment as well. I would need to hunt for it. But I remember.
He would always type it out in all caps.
But again, he thinks that proteolipid. He thinks proteolipid is an actual ATPase that's in our mitochondrial system. So he actually thinks that there's one size fits all. He wasn't talking about VATPases. He was just thinking that ATP synthase has this proteolipid in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of Ronnie's problem, and I put this in a post, I think, in a thread you're in, Steve. And I said, people give you the amount of shit that you get, not because you're wrong, but basically because you act like an arsehole to other people.
Oh no,
so
we do it because he's wrong. I disagree. I do because not only is he wrong, anybody gets stuff wrong. I wouldn't make fun of anybody who's wrong. He's wrong, and he's so arrogant about being wrong that he will never correct himself. That's what you're saying. Then I agree with you.
Yeah, but it's also the way he treats others as well. I mean, I've had 3 interactions with Ronnie. In 2 of those hangouts, he's called me a liar.
Oh yeah, well, I'm a liar every day.
Very, very quickly.
Sure.
Yeah, he jumps that very, very quickly. And my point wasn't actually even so much about Ronnie, because there's just no talking to him. Like, he's so far over the edge. The thing I was going to say was sort of more focused at G-Man. That's like, look, if you think you're going to take up the cause of defending your friend against all these attacks, it is not an attack to point out, as Dress just did, that Ronnie is an asshole to people when he just calls people liars at the drop of a hat and then denies he's done it. Right?
That's why I'm sticking on this one, Hogtie. That's why I am not letting up on this one now. I've decided, this is my hill to die on. Yeah. Because we've let him away so many times because he comes out with a new one.
So why doesn't G-Man make a video about it, Fiona? Why doesn't G-Man make a video explaining how you had reposted something and Ronnie was attacking you for it, why doesn't G-Man make a video on that? Because G-Man has said he's going to make videos on explaining that Ronnie was right about the DNA degrading in water. He said he's going to make videos about the whole chromosome 2. He's actually going to explain to us the actual science in these videos, and yet I haven't seen one yet. Because that's what I want to see from G-Man. I love that.
But can you understand Hogtie? Can you understand Hogtie? Why? I mean, we have gone through this so many times with him, and we drop it because he comes out with a new one. But this one in particular, I've decided that's my wee line, and the only interaction I'm going to have with him is to ask him, does he now accept that he made a mistake, and is he going to apologise for bearing false witness?
I say go ahead with it. I mean, because we got to pick one once in a while and just sometimes really try to illustrate for them what it is. I mean, and why I think it'd be interesting to see how this plays out is because we already know how it's going to play out. Exactly. Here's the weird thing about it. It was such a simple mistake on his part.
So simple.
It was poor judgment. But here's the thing.
Easily rectified.
Here's the one thing wrong with you. You've got your plan, Fiona, to raise this as an issue, showing about how Ronnie has a disingenuous character and showing how he does not follow biblical prescriptions on how to treat the people around him, that he will wipe the ass with the 9th commandment and with Jesus' frequent retelling of the importance of the 9th commandment. Here's the thing that's wrong with your plan, and it's a flaw that you will never suffer. Because here's the flaw. All Ronnie has to do to kick the stool underneath you, kick the stool out from underneath you, is to put up a video or say in a Hangout or send you a message privately and say, oh, I looked at that post and I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you'd reshare. Okay, sorry, I apologize. That was my mistake. And you'd be done.
Exactly.
You'd have nothing left to say about
And
it.
you know, nobody would
never suffer that because he'll never fucking
do it. But nobody would have. If he would have done that, it would have been a moot issue at that point, right? Nobody would have cared.
Yeah, but can you let Hogtie finish? Because it was going somewhere.
Well, I was, yeah. The thing is, what I find interesting about what's going to happen is that you're coming at him with this thing like, look, I'm going to make an issue out of this, and if you tried to do this to me, I would put an end to it in 5 minutes. I would say, yeah, I was wrong. So what? What's she whining about now? You couldn't bring it up again without embarrassing yourself. But he won't.
Exactly.
He will never do that. It'll be fascinating for me to sit back and watch how long you're going to be able to bring this up and have him not do the very, very simple, easy thing to make the whole thing go away, and the thing that his Bible tells him he's supposed to be doing.
I have a wonderful idea.
Like this.
Well, what he is doing is, do you remember he put out a video to all his pals saying, well, we should stop saying she's not a Christian? Remember that?
Yeah.
Quite a while back. Right, okay. Well, in his last exchanges with me, he is calling me Miss Christian Lady, with Christian in inverted commas.
Really?
That is the only responses I got in that thread where I first called him out on it. Miss Christian Lady.
Fiona, I have
I felt like saying it's Dr. Christian Lady to you.
I have a very wonderful idea, Fiona. How about we do this? It may be hard to do anything retroactive, but on this particular one, how about we make a page in the wiki, we timestamp the day of the post, give a little blurb about the story, and we will put the day's date on it, saying this is the day's date, this is the last time, the time you talked about this being your hill to die on, and we'll just keep track of if he mentions it and he doesn't acknowledge it, and we'll just have a little chronology of the story as it unfolds, and we'll try to do that from now on with most of these things. I think it'd be hard with the past ones because there's just so much, but would you want to do something like that, Fiona?
Yeah, there's also another suggestion I would make for Hogtie. It would be handy to have a certain document, which is an archive in a way, on the wiki page, wouldn't it?
Oh, we're gonna do that. I think I know what you mean.
I know what she means too, actually.
It's just,
just it's just there for anybody who wants to refer to it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
because I've now got to the stage where I am heartily sick of them, and I'll tell you one other reason why I am really, really pissed off. Because in the past, you know how Ronnie's not been well now and again, and Hogtie brought this up before, and we've all sent him either public or private messages wishing him well, hoping he gets better soon, all the rest of it. I've sent him private messages, I even sent private Skype, all the rest of it. Never got acknowledged once. Okay?
I don't...
Never once. No response, not even... Yeah.
I'm sorry,
here's...
Please go,
sorry. Yeah. But here's the thing. In all the time that I haven't been well, only one person from that group has wished me well, and that was G-Man. He is the only one.
Yeah, well, G-Man's got a good streak in him. You know, I don't want to re-engage people in this discussion and have people bring up, oh, you said Jason Burns was a good guy, blah blah blah. Okay, G-Man's got a good streak in him. Let's not be too hard on that guy. Plus, at least G-Man has diverse interests too, as I posted this morning in reply to somebody about how, like a reply to Steve about how, look, G-Man doesn't harp on us all the time. He does talk about a diversity of stuff in his channel, and he only mentions us now and again. It's really true empiricism. In terms of the health issues, that's interesting. There have been a few people who've discussed their health problems publicly, or have at least made it known that there is some health problems without necessarily getting into the details of it. There are a few others who've been sick and don't discuss it publicly. They never really express, for the most part, I mean, certainly not true empiricism, don't really express any interest or compassion or anything else that's going on in anyone else's life. I don't, I'll say this publicly now, I actually don't, when I hear that Ronnie's having a difficult time, I no longer send him private messages saying, hey, if there's any way I can help out, and there's a couple reasons for that. One of them is because the first time I'd kind of reached out to him when I didn't really know what his situation was, I just had heard a couple of the symptoms and it raised a couple of concerns for me. When I talked to him, without getting into the details of it, I was very quickly reassured that he's not an idiot. He wasn't sick and then being like going to crystal healing or just, you know, collapsing and praying and never actually talking to a doctor. He has always been taking the proper steps to make sure that it's being treated properly. So as soon as I was reassured that he's doing the right things to get his health back online, he's getting tons of exercise now, he's doing the right things, I went, great, that's good to hear that things are going well for you. I wish you the best. And so I don't feel the need to poke my nose in on it because I know he is doing the right things. But the second reason is the day after I had that conversation with him about how he was doing, he went into a Hangout and my name had come up because of something I said publicly. And then he said something about, yeah, well, he talked to me last night, and yeah, that hog tie, you got to watch. He's really two-faced. And I just went, fuck you.
That's the way he is, though.
Like,
that doesn't even surprise me, though.
That's one of the worst things that you can do to somebody. And the thing is, I never told anybody. I didn't like talk to him and find out what was going on and then go tell other people. I kept that completely secret. He goes and he talks about the fact that we had a conversation. And the thing that he says is, doesn't tell him what I said. Doesn't tell people what I said and whether he believed me or anything like that, or what I asked him, what the discussion was like. He gives no details of it. Instead, he just characterized it as, that guy is two-faced. And that is horseshit. That's one of the most disgusting things a person can do to another person. And I would think that Jesus had something to say about shit like that. So I don't now, like, I'm going to wrap up on this point, that when I hear that he's having difficulty, I still have that feeling like, damn it, you know, that's too bad. Like, I hope things go well for him. But I don't open up Skype and send the guy a message saying, hey, you know, my heart's with you, you know, best wishes. If there's any way I can help out or you just want to talk, you know, give me a call. I never send him a message like that because fuck that guy.
Yeah, I stopped as well.
Yeah, I mean, how many times can you?
Because it was pointless.
Yeah, how many times can you reach out and get your hand bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if G-Man does ever watch this part of it, when we criticize true empiricism, it is not an attack. It's not because he's such a powerful apologist and he's unseating all of science. It's because of specific events like this. It's because that's what he does to people. He takes honest expressions of friendships and he throws it in your face, and he tells lies about people. And he just, you know, and we just don't have a mechanism for pointing it out. It's like I've been saying, if Veckel were to diagonally park his car across 3 handicapped parking spots and somebody said, hey, can you move your car, please? You would all rally around behind him and say, oh, you're attacking him because he's Christian. True empiricism does some pretty shitty things to people, and he's dishonest in the way he represents conversations that he's had with people. He's dishonest in the entire history of this whole freaking correcting him on stuff or not correcting him on stuff. He's being a total asshole about some of the occasional corrections that he does give some of us, and he's a dick like that. And we simply can't point it out because you're going to say, "Oh, you're attacking because he's a Christian."
And by the way, nobody ever tried to get him off the internet. Matter of fact, one of the first times he had left, right? He's gone off and on for a while, but one of the earlier ones, I did the same thing. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, you know, True, we don't want you to leave the internet. We, you know, are you doing okay? I knew he had some issues, and I reached out to him as well. We were not trying to remove him from the internet or fuck with his channel or anything like that. And matter of fact, anybody who fucks with his channel, I have no respect for you whatsoever. You don't do certain things that he got obviously a flag on one of his channels, so he can't actually have Hangouts on his True account. TrueEmpiricism account now. He has to do it on True Talk TV because some fuckhead. Yeah, I don't advocate any of that shit. So I reached out to him too, and of course, you know, I got my hand bit a bit. So whatever.
But Hog Tie Champ did a hangout. He did a hangout the first time Ronnie left. We all joined in, and we basically, it was a hangout where we were. It was like a fond farewell with emphasis on the fond.
More fun than farewell. Yeah, because he wasn't. Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to leave. He was going to be back, but it was one of those things. He was making what I thought was a very good choice to back away from the. I mean, this is a weird. I mean, sometimes you get stressed about YouTube, and it's weird to get stressed about it because who cares? And sometimes you have to walk away from it for a bit and just say, "Oh, you know what? I want to worry about my actual life for a second." So we were kind of glad he would do that. We knew that he would come back when he felt ready to do it. So we all applauded that decision. It was, as you said, it was more fond than farewell. I will say, look, let's not present it as if it was a super kind and we just sat around and went, "Oh, he's such a wonderful guy. He's so charming," because we roasted him too. We made fun of so many of the dumb things that he said and got a little bit upset about some of the sort of mean-spirited things that he'd done. But I've always felt, what's that?
You guys are mean.
We're mean.
Well, we're
honest.
We're
I've been taught, like many other people in the world, I think, that the greatest kindness you can give someone is your honesty. And I will always say of True Empiricism, you know, there are some attributes about him that I really like and I respect. And even if there are things about him that I don't like and respect, I still wish him well. I wish that things were better for him. And I'm glad that some of the changes he's made in his life, like the amount of exercise he gets, I mean, this is great. But I don't feel like we should put up with his bullshit. And I certainly don't think that we should do like what his friends do. You know, you know, we're not his friends, what he would call his friends, and just lie and just bullshit about the stuff that he does. That doesn't do anybody any good. You don't honestly love somebody if you're going to encourage them. Oh yeah, go ahead and steal from your neighbor. You know, go ahead and tell lies about people, right? Go ahead and keep using drugs, right? Like those are not things that you do for people that you actually love. Now, granted, those three things I just listed are on a much bigger scale than stupid bullshit that people pull on YouTube. I don't mean to say that those are the same sort of scale, but when you see a person who violates Jesus's most important commandments, you claim to be a Christian, and you see somebody who will bear false witness at the drop of a hat, and they come to you and say, "Hey, what do you think about that thing I said about Fiona? Hey, what do you think about that thing I said about Steve McRae?" And you say to that person, yeah, you keep doing that. That's you not being an actual loving friend, in my view. Seaside chat, please. I'm going to AFK. Listening.
I guess the different criteria for CCP members, but when speaking of videos, there's a video still on my channel when I think it was around the same time you guys had that hangout where I encouraged True to go back to school. And I hope he gets better because he had actually made a video telling everyone that he was leaving. But like I said, this was a while back, and I think it's called an ode to True Empiricism or something like that. People can go watch that video. I left it up for a reason. Of course, he took down that video the second he came back and pretended it never happened. But I keep it there because that's one of the few times I'm genuinely nice to True, and I'm speaking from the heart. And I'm outside. I think I might be smoking a Black and Mild or something. But it is a different depiction of me compared to how True Empiricism typically likes to characterize me. And I always direct people to that video when he likes to lie to say, well, drag is just this, and this. Listen, no, I give you exactly what you give me. If he doesn't like me talking shit about him, then he should probably be a better person.
Yeah, you know, Drag, don't you miss the days, though, when he first started having his, like, evolutionists bring it and all these other things, same with Antonio, it wasn't bad to have hangouts, right? I mean, I did not mind going in there and having discussions with him. I mean, in fact, no. I had a hangout with him and Ken Hoban a long time ago, and I even put in my video that I thought that TrueEmpiricism did a great job moderating it, right? I had no problem saying that, right? But over the last couple of years, I mean, you can just see his skills just diminish at having hangouts, having interactions, having communications, and that's a shame, because I think most of us would have liked to continue to have an honest dialogue with him the way he was years ago, which I still think he was full of shit, but at least you could communicate with him, right?
There's a difference in the dynamic. There's only a few people back in the day that could really stand toe-to-toe with the kind of, you know, nonsense that Ronnie with, like the sharpshooting and shit like that. You know, he had Suzuki Das, he kind of interacted with Arn, he kind of interacted with, you know, a few folks, but now he has so many detractors, he can't really manage criticism. Because, mind you, he has to save face. He has to maintain this image that he does actually know something. So when we're constantly scrutinizing every little thing that he does, I don't think that his ego can take that. And so that's why we're seeing him not really allow people in the hangouts, you know?
Yeah, saving face is important to them. I mean, like, for example, when we make mistakes, all of us will be like, yeah, well, okay, whatever, we fucked up, right? I don't think he has it within himself to actually do that. And then for him to say, well, he's corrected all of us, I have a challenge out there. Again, when has Ronnie corrected me on anything? You guys all have. Everybody in here has probably corrected me on something. But Ronnie? No, I don't think he ever has. If he has, please let me know. Because I don't recall anything. I just don't recall him correcting me on anything.
I mean, it's if he wants to say that, that's fine. Like, I don't care. For him, here's the thing: when he says corrected, it's a pejorative. That's the thing. If Fiona corrected me, I think I called DNA protein at one point, like years ago. Mm-hmm. She corrected me on that, and I still remember that. That's not a mar against my image. That's her acknowledging that I've made a mistake. Hogtie has corrected me. I think there was something that had to do within the medical field, you know, and he had corrected me. So, oh yeah, that is right. You're right. But that's not a mar against my image. When you correct True, he genuinely gets upset about that. He cannot take that. Oh yeah. And so he has to then play this game where he tallies all the corrections that he's made against True. He tallies all the ones he's made against Sam, and it's like me and Sam laugh about this stupid shit because who the fuck cares?
Nobody. It's this little tally he has going on is just it's ridiculous. By the way, he did have it.
The true empiricism isn't about honest integrity. It's about who is right, and if you don't admit when you're wrong, then you will win.
But the problem is the things he gets wrong are really basic stupid shit most of the time. Yeah, some of the stuff's a little more complex. A lot of people wouldn't be able to point out shit like his mistake with the complex 4 of the electron transport chain. But for the most part, he makes some very, like Pi. Who could not have pointed out that he fucked that up, right? Anybody with a 6th grade education, right? But he just had a video come out like 5 minutes ago. I don't know if you saw it. I haven't watched it yet. We may watch it live. Love this title. You want to know the title?
Yes.
Ignorance, lies, and dishonesty from evolutionist, atheist, and secular community. And the caption is, why is it the Butthurt clan is so delusional? I mean, the projection of this guy is just fucking amazing.
Projection, yeah.
It's complete projection. We're trying to get Lami's Mana in here. She came in, but I think she had a mic problem. I'm trying to get her in, so if somebody can help her figure it out. I don't know why she can't get in here. She's actually Lami's Mana. She's actually a food scientist that I want you guys to meet.
A food scientist?
Yeah.
She's going to tell me how to. This is food.
I study apples.
This is food. This is not food.
But don't eat this. This is.
Let me tell you right now.
Don't drink your own pee.
Even before I watch the video, I'm going to send it to fucking Sam. I'm going to ask him what Tinder date he's planning, and then we're going to watch the video and fucking laugh, and that's it. Like that's really going to be the extent of what happens. Like, do you really think we care? Like that's what I wonder. Ronnie, I know he's watching this. Do you genuinely, in your heart of hearts, think that Sam, myself, Ty, Fiona, anyone on this panel would really care?
No, I don't. I've said this a million times. My channel is mostly, entertainment, right? There's some educational value, but it's entertainment for the most part. It's a place where we can go and talk about this stuff. And I don't take this shit seriously as far as like Ronnie. No. Now, yes, I want things to be accurate. I want people to be educated. I do want to debunk young Earth creationism, flat Earth, but it's not like it's pseudo making a bunch of noise. But yeah, he thinks that something like my entire self-worth is predicated upon what Ronnie thinks of me or something. And this is not the case.
What's your images on the internet? No, it's based on.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's true too.
Your internet presence is, and I think that's what he ties.
I think you're right.
If he doesn't look good online, then I think that's probably where he got this idea that I go to school to impress people on the internet.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up this leg of it here since we have a food scientist here. Unless she wants to talk about.
Yeah, let me say, let's do a mic check real quick if we can, because I've been trying to get in your Hangout for a while because most people don't know who you are.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I heard something. Try again. She's never been in a Hangout before, by the way.
LeMaze, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
Parlez-vous français?
You need to go to the very top, and there's a little microphone symbol. You need to click that. It's probably red looking right now.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh. There you go. Click it once.
Hello. Hola.
Hello.
Okay, hi. Can I be heard now?
Yes, you can be heard.
You can. No, let me make one more quick point, and then Steve, would that be okay? And then we drop this and move on more. Because what point was actually going to be? It's interesting because now I think we are going to talk about something else, and generally we do.
Yep.
Right. Like I made a reply about this morning about how the criticism that comes from TrueEmpiricism and G-Man and Antonio is that all these guys hold hangout after hangout after hangout after hangout, where all they talk about is TrueEmpiricism. Well, he must really be correct. They must know that he's right. They must know they're being crushed by him. You know, remember, their view is that if you talk about somebody else in a hangout, it's because it really bothers you that that other person is definitely correct and they're definitely powerful and effective. When in truth, less than 1% of our airtime is actually dedicated to talking about these guys. And of course, we're going to talk about them. This is human nature, right? We're kind of part of a community. We know each other personally, and we're going to talk about each other and the things that each other say. So that's going to happen, especially when, you know, he's talking about us, we're talking about him. Well, of course, he's going to talk about us again. Well, and of course, we're going to talk about him again. That's going to happen. But really, they've got such an unrealistic impression about how much airtime goes on TST or on anything that Steve broadcasts or any of the rare hangouts that I host. Very little time goes into talking about that. And yet, at the same time that this is all going on, Ronnie holds hangout after hangout after hangout after hangout, where, okay, so he's going to talk about lies and deception in the evolutionist camp. But right there in the subtitle, and you know all he's going to talk about, Steve McRae this, JDK that, Fiona Robertson this, Dragnut and Sam, blah, blah, blah. And he's going to talk about the people and personalities of the individuals. And he's going to talk about it with bitterness and rage.
Yep.
So how does that not fit their little theory that the reason he does that is because he sees us as being effective, or you guys at least, he mentions me about
and the funniest thing is this is the first Sunday show we've really talked about Ronnie, and as you said,
it's been a long time.
We haven't really talked about them at all. Yeah, bye Fiona. Yeah, we haven't really talked about them in a long time. So yeah, every so often we do have shows like this where we do talk about them. For the most part, like you said, for the last month or so, we haven't really talked about him. But anyways, LeMaze, how do you pronounce your name? How do you like to be referred to?
Yeah, I like this.
LeMaze?
You said it good.
Okay.
You pronounced it good.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're French?
No, I'm Arab. No.
Arab. Okay, Arab. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize the accent. So, and your background is in food science, correct?
Yeah, food science. Yeah, food science and nutrition.
Nutrition. So, can I delve into that more of like what actually you do as a food scientist?
No, actually, it's pathogen microorganism, especially if it's. As you know, that there is pathogens that can detected in food, and cross contaminations and foodborne. It's kind of like I don't think you are interested in it.
Oh well, you'd be surprised.
Like Escherichia coli and Salmonella and.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So you deal with a lot of pathogens.
Microbiologist.
Well, Fiona is just left, but she's a PhD in microbiology.
Oh, that's wonderful. I actually understand my position where in food science. Yeah. But actually, I don't usually. How to say it? I'm not focusing on the chemical side of the food. I focus on the microorganism, especially about the pathogenic. Yeah.
So pathogenic. So like just recently.
Just a little confused because I think maybe you can't understand my accent, especially I have thick accent.
It is thick, but I do understand
really,
you.
I don't want to pass it. I don't want to pass it.
Oh, we totally understand you. No, you're fine. It's not your accent. We understand you perfectly. It's just a little bit of lag in the video. That's all. So and a lot of background noise. But I understand you just fine. I was gonna ask you. We know what's funny is we just had in California here a recent outbreak of botulism from a thing of nachos in a truck stop, right? A little like AMPM mini market. I don't know if you have those where you're at, but and there's an outbreak, and it actually I think like 20 people got sick, and I think 2 people actually died from it. So is that what you do? You deal with the vector of the pathogen for like the botulism case or something like that?
Yeah, that's it's called foodborne, something like that in English. Foodborne. You know that sometimes when you have a lot of colonies on food, so it can it can be toxic. Usually, Escherichia coli, especially, as you can see, it is kind of like not that. How to say it? It is not. I mean, it's not pathogenic at all. You have a limit number of colonies. Okay, so we have strains that because of the evolution that make it pathogenic. Okay, so now Escherichia coli 017, okay, like pathogenic. So if it's in the cans or in the food, because of the worse, I mean the food handling, sometimes it's not safe. And that's also staphylococcus, if you know about it.
Oh yeah.
It is microflora actually, but when it be in the food, it will be pathogenic.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned evolution. I mean, you've been following us for a while.
Yeah. Actually, because before, let's say before 200 years, Escherichia coli was not pathogenic at all. But it gets strains. I mean, there is genes, they get it from other bacteria and make it pathogenic. Yeah.
And that's a process of evolution, which the clown car posse always ask evidence for, right? They say, give us evidence for evolution, and yet here you are, and you can give evidence directly of evolutionary events causing pathogenic changes, correct?
Yeah, because you know that sometimes that every organism that it can share genes with others, especially in bacteria.
I normally go ahead. Horizontal gene transfer.
Yes. Yeah, the horizontal transfer, and that's what happened with the Escherichia coli.
I usually don't.
You have certain strains of E. coli bacteria. They have how it's called a virus. It's called a bacteriophage. It takes pathogenic genes from one bacteria to another.
I usually don't ask this, but
bacteriophage actually it is a virus, okay, and it is target only. Only the bacteria, right?
I'm just curious. Are you under? Again, I don't usually ask this question, but I've talked to you before, and you told me a little bit about your background. That's why I wanted you to come on for so long, and I'm glad you're finally on. But are you an undergraduate or graduate?
No, actually my undergraduate. Now I'm studying online, master degree, but I didn't continue because still a student.
Okay.
But studying online.
Okay, just curious. I mean, it doesn't really make that much difference. I talked to you before, and I just didn't remember what your thing was, except for that I knew you were a food scientist, and yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, I find this interesting in terms of when you first arrived and you said, I mean, I want to know what you want to talk about, but just so you know, we are interested in this stuff. I will say I hadn't heard that E. coli. Are you saying that there were no E. coli that was dangerous to human health? This
no,
recent.
Actually, before. No, excuse me. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. No, I'm saying that there is strains and E. coli that can be pathogenic, but before it was not at all. But because of the evolution, some strains that which call it 175O, which get these genes from pathogenic bacteria. I suspect from the. I don't want to say what's the name of the bacteria. They get these genes that it is toxic gene, and they adopted it.
So over time, by evolution, they have a higher degree of toxicity?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I was
the strains, I mean, that genus, I mean, they took it from another bacteria that is completely different.
Oh, they incorporated it by lateral gene transfer. They incorporated it.
Salmonella, yeah, maybe they got it from the Salmonella, Shigella, I don't know from where, but actually, Escherichia coli was a friendly bacteria, same contamination. That bacteria that when you eat it, it's kind of like to not harm you.
They were benign or like neutral?
Not neutral, actually worse than neutral.
Okay.
Worse. Like, let me say the coliform bacteria, for example. It is kind of like it refers that the hygienes and hygienic is worse. I mean, it is not that good. From the genetic instance, yeah, they got it, yeah.
Through what would you say, anagenesis?
No, from the tract of the human body, or the warm-blooded.
Dress, what was your question?
Yeah.
Dress, what were you saying?
What?
Oh, I think Dress wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to be careful not to butt in, as per my pledge. No, I was going to say because there are certain forms of E. coli that are not. Well, they don't make you extremely ill, but they can live in your gut and your body for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
That's where you can have some negative effects as you go on.
Yeah, similar as Escherichia coli 175, or it's become a dangerous bacteria, pathogenic bacteria, because they got it from, they got a gene because of the horizontal transfer from other bacteria that is kind of like a plasmid, let me say, plasmid. Okay, they got a plasmid from bacteria that is pathogenic. But before, Escherichia coli was not a pathogenic bacteria. Before 100, no, it wasn't. Same, it was similar to the coliform. Even you can check by yourself. Check by yourself. You will find many Escherichia coli strains that is not pathogenic. You can, I mean, it's exists everywhere, and it doesn't harm you.
So there's a lot of common strains of E. coli that just aren't going to harm you then. That are around there.
Yeah. Just one. I mean, one, and there is another one that is because of the evolution. But the one is that harm. That you hear about it in the outbreak.
It's called Shiga toxin producing E. coli.
Yeah, I get this genes. They took it from the Shigella, I guess.
And then they incorporated these genes.
Yeah, Shiga toxins.
Yeah.
from Pinlos, yeah.
It's just the first Hangout you've ever been in, Lemise?
The first time.
Is this the first Google Hangout that you've ever
myself for any.
Yeah, I know you've been trying. I know you've been
answer.
trying for a while, but you've never been in another Hangout before.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
If I can just add a quick thing here. I don't necessarily follow the news in Europe, but I know that in North America, we're familiar with E. coli as a dangerous thing. I don't know how many people are aware that there are E. coli strains that live in our bodies. My understanding is sometimes they're dangerous for one mammal and yet not dangerous for another.
Yes.
So for example, most people who live in North America will be aware of a couple major public illnesses that happen. So there was a fast food restaurant in the United States that there was it was the E. coli, bovine E. coli, was mixed in with the ground beef and was served to customers incompletely cooked. And many people got sick, and a few of them had died. This was a long time ago, probably 25 years ago. Closer in time, in Canada, in a town called Walkerton, Ontario, there was the water became contaminated. Their understanding of what happened was that where the water was being collected for the town was right beside a bovine feedlot. So this is a place where they take cow manure and they spread it out, and apparently the cow manure had E. coli that didn't hurt the cattle. The cattle were all fine, but the E. coli from the cattle feces made it into the water supply, and when humans drank it, several people became very sick, and a few of them had actually died. And if you are maybe familiar with the story, but the mechanism for death was they would go to a doctor and they would get antibiotics, which would kill the E. coli very rapidly, and the E. coli would lyse, and the contents of the E. coli would spread, and it would lead to kidney failure, renotoxicity. So, I mean, these are the stories that we hear, and I had not heard that. I mean, I knew that there's such a thing as safe E. coli, but I'd not heard that the appearance of dangerous to humans, E. coli, is actually fairly recent. And although, Steve, there's one quick point I want to clarify. It doesn't sound like this E. coli is created by genetic variation and then selection by the environment. Rather, it's horizontal gene transfer is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify too. It's bilateral gene transfer, right?
And I can also explain why some E. coli are not dangerous to like bovines, because, for example, the Zika toxin producing E. coli, they produce these toxins, but these toxins need a receptor to be taken inside our cells, and we have the right receptors, but cows and other relatives of cows don't have these receptors, so they are not affected by this toxin.
Yeah, I understand. Just for asking me about Escherichia coli, why maybe you find it's a new thing that it become pathogenic bacteria because of evolution. First of all, I'm asking you here why there are strains in Escherichia coli that is it can I mean, we can call it from the flora bacteria or microbiotic bacteria, okay? Why there is only one strain?
Why is there only one strand of what?
One strain of what?
Of Escherichia. Of Escherichia coli that is pathogenic.
That is toxic to us.
Well, there are several strains of E. coli bacteria. Some are very different. But some of them are very. Yes, they have.
Three.
Yes, they have different pathogenic capabilities. Some produce toxins. Others just they actually invade our own the cells of the intestinal lining, and they cause damage physically, like that.
Okay, so that's what I said. But I'm asking you why there is her sisters and brothers producing what toxin? Escherichia coli 107.5. It is a dangerous bacteria. it is pathogenic. It's actually, I say, and usually the scientists say, because she got a gene or plasmid. Plus the nucleus, of the bacteria. Plasmid is kind of like a circular gene.
A plasmoid, yeah.
From other bacteria,
yeah, they have a single piece of genetic circular material, right?
Yeah, they get it from another bacteria which can produce what? A toxin. So that is an evidence for the evolution. And what? The sisters of other of the Escherichia coli are not in harmony with humans and other.
I think I'm not certain, but I think I understand your question. And my answer, and I'm not very confident or certain about this answer, but I think that it doesn't do bacteria. If you have a bacteria that needs to live inside a host body, it doesn't do that bacteria any good to be harmful, right? We have a lot of bacteria living in our mouths and intestines, and they need to be happy there. They shouldn't seek to kill the host. I think the interesting, so I'm not surprised that there are many bacteria.
No, it is not up to them. No, it is not up to them that they want to live in harmony. I mean, because it is here the duty of the genes to the environment, right?
But how is it advantageous to a bacteria to be detrimental to the host that they're in? How is that an advantage to them?
Yeah, I would think, I don't mean to say that the bacteria choose. I mean to say that if you
it's in the best interest.
Yeah, I mean the bacteria kills the host or makes the host suffer or makes the host
unless killing the host is a vector for transmittal, because obviously if something dies and that bacteria goes in the soil and it gets
it is up to their genes, because their genes are the DNA sequences is forcing them to produce toxins, and that gene they took it from the plasmid from another bacteria. That's what is happening, and you can search about it, quick search, and you will find that why this trend in Escherichia coli 107 become a dangerous bacteria. Well, bacteria are not harmful at all. It's
May I ask a question? Is E. coli 107? That's the strain we're talking about. Is it beneficial to any other organism? That would be the question I would ask. Is it toxic to all organisms?
No, it doesn't hurt.
No, it can be harmful to humans, and also if there is E. coli in, let's say, in other mammals, it can be toxic. The problem is how much.
It is funny.
I ask stupid questions, I apologize. I don't know a lot about biology.
We do love talking about these subjects, which is awesome. I mean, I want more hangouts talking about these things. But I do notice that you don't find any of these types of conversations in the Cloud Car Posse hangouts. When has you ever heard this? And I'm just a total layperson in this shit. Don't take me for knowledgeable on this at all. I just throw shit out there like Dress does. But you'll never see this level of education or talking about these subjects in any of Ronnie's hangouts at any time. If you go look at any of his historical hangouts, when Hogtie have you ever seen, except maybe when you're in there or Fiona's in there, but other than that, when have you seen them discuss anything of actual science?
Well, I've seen it when I'm in there, and then they end up getting deleted. But I'm just trying to connect this particular issue. Well, that's actually happened, like with the human chromosome.
Yeah, I think we should stick to topic rather than
I agree. I do have. I
just wanted to point that out.
I'm trying to understand. I mean, I'm trying to connect this to. I'm trying to connect this to existing knowledge, or I should say, I'm trying to connect this to limited existing knowledge. This idea. See, I am aware. You're talking about, was it 157? Is this the one you're talking about? I don't know.
107.
107. I don't know how the classification works, how the sub numbers come into it, but I was aware from my experience with the situation in Walkerton that there's the toxin is exactly the same toxin as is seen in dysentery.
Yes.
And
it's the same type, and it's also the same evolutionary relationship with the toxin. It's called the genus Shigella, if I remember it correctly.
Shigella is the one that causes dysentery. Yeah. That's not E. coli. That's a totally different critter. I mean, they're bacteria.
Yeah. However, one correction: Shigella is actually a close relative of E. coli, so closely it actually belongs within the group E. coli phylogenetically. If E. coli if E. coli was a clade, monophyletic clade, then Shigella should belong in that clade.
But higher up than the genus level. Again, I'm staggering from not being familiar with this because we don't have dysentery in Canada. It doesn't overwinter well. But we have dysentery type diseases because this one particular type of E. coli that produces exactly the same toxin is in Canadian cattle. Right? So I don't, I appreciate Neslick when you explain that because I don't know this other Shigella. I remember it's in a book that I read once, right? But we don't really experience it here. So
I mean, the only reason I know a little bit about the whole E. coli thing is I did a food hygiene course when I was a teenager, and that's part of. We'll talk about strep. We'll talk about E. coli and various ways you have to keep things clean and how you do food prep, and why you put, cooked meat above raw meat when you're putting them in the fridge for storage. All that kind of stuff. But one of the things again, to Hogtie's point, was just the slurry runoffs. That we had that same problem in the UK. With slurry runoffs into rivers, and that caused some problems until they stopped it, and that goes back to the 70s, 80s, I think. Sorry, let me...
Octa, can you see what I'm screen sharing right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, you can see that Escherichia coli and Shigella and Salmonella negative bacteria, okay? Shigella is close to the Escherichia coli, so therefore the scientists suspected that maybe the plasmid from Shigella they got transferred Escherichia coli. Also, there is a big fear that maybe another pathogenic bacteria maybe can transfer their gene that's responsible for producing toxins to the bacteria of. Would be a huge problem.
Yeah. You can see that here Salmonella, a close relative of E. coli. You can see the first E. coli species. Not E. coli, but another Escherichia.
Not the coli species. Not coli.
There's other different species of the same genus, and here are the E. coli. Then you see this, the Shigella.
Yeah.
Species, and they are close relatives of other E. coli.
So what determines the difference between a strain and a different species of a bacteria?
In bacteria is very hard to determine because you can't, of course, observe them interbreed.
See, group E, that's what I'm talking. That become pathogenic bacteria, but before it wasn't at all pathogenic at all.
So all of group A is pathogenic?
The rest of the pathogen, the rest of the Escherichia coli are not pathogenic, just group E. 5-7. Okay.
Yes.
Those are pathogenic. The rest are not toxic.
Yeah.
Strain 157, not 107. I got that wrong.
That's what I said. 157. You see, you got me off my game now because I said 157.
This group has the same toxin that this group produces that causes dysentery.
Yeah.
Only the top one.
Yeah. Suspect. Scientists suspect that maybe the plasmid of Shigella transferred to the Escherichia coli 157.
Yes.
Huh. That's the name, Dysteria? Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm going to say a quick goodbye, and lovely to meet you, and I'm glad you managed to get into your first hangout.
Lovely to meet you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dress. Yeah, you know, like I said, I know a lot of people have been asking to try to get in, and I know they've been trying, and I've been trying to get a lot of people in that I think would be of interest to people. So this was great that she was actually able to manage to figure out how to come in, and it's been several weeks trying to get this taken care of where she can come in.
I know that food microbiology is boring topic, but
it's not actually. Actually, it's a fascinating topic. I'm glad we had a little segue from our. What's that?
What would you like to talk about? What fascinates you?
Yeah, what's your thing that you like to talk about? Can I ask where you're? Do you mind if I ask where you're from? I mean, you said Arab, but I mean, are you in the States?
Yeah, I'm Arab actually. No, I'm not in the States, but I'm planning to move to Canada maybe.
Oh, you want the poutine, right? Because that's what Canadians.
Colombia, so there's no poutine, I guess. To British Columbia.
Really?
They have poutine in there.
They got poutine.
They have poutine in British Columbia as well.
I thought it just in the French side, I thought.
No, it's for some reason. I mean, yes, it's very, very popular in Quebec, but it became popular across the country. You can get it anywhere now. Small towns in northern Saskatchewan, you can get it.
I've got to try this shit, to be honest with you. I don't know. I know there's probably no single place in California that sells this, but I'll have to figure something out. I want to try it.
Hawk, are you talking about poutine?
Yeah.
Yes, we're talking about.
Yeah, and you know Ozzy will show up in 30 seconds now.
It's in every single fast food chain: McDonald's, Wendy's, Tim Hortons, even A&W.
Yeah, but see, they don't down here, right? In the States, it's I've never even heard of the substance before until
I think they have it in Vermont and Maine, those states that border the eastern part of Canada. They serve it up there too.
Yeah, I'll figure out.
I want to know why Canada? Why would you like to move to British Columbia?
Well, actually, I'm kind of like sort of agnostic and naturalistic.
Hey, she's one of my people. Hey, yes. Congratulations, agnostics.
So,
yeah, we've got cookies.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear the reason, Steve.
Sorry.
Please.
The reason that I'm not sure that in any time that in the Middle East maybe it will become more Islamic or more theocratic. There is a huge, how to say it, there is a huge religious influence in the Middle East, okay, and I see that things are changing in the Middle East, so better so. As you know, because of my religious, not that, I'm sort of, actually I'm ex-Muslim, so former Muslim, so I think there is no place for me in the Middle East and for my kinds. So,
can you be ex-Muslim? Isn't that highly frowned upon to be a Muslim and then be announced?
Declaring it. Yeah. I don't declare it. I mean, nobody knows, so it's better. I'm not sure. There are, you can see that there is a huge religious influence in the Middle East. It's not like before. So better to move before things will happen bad. Bad things maybe will happen.
Yeah, I've been over there. I've seen the influence. I've been over to the Arab Emirates numerous times. Dubai, Jebel Ali, Bahrain. Yeah, it's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I was born in Abu Dhabi, but I think Abu Dhabi and the United kind of like the local people, they have their strict tradition.
Very.
They are, yeah, but they give a freedom to Westerners to practice, to do what they want, maybe at least.
Well, Dubai and those countries are a little bit more open. Dubai and those.
Yeah, it is open for the foreigners, not for the local people.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is even worse. Yeah, for the foreigners, yeah. For the locals, it's a different type of thing over there. But
like not for the local people, nor for the foreigners, or for the.
You might be interested. There's a debate next Friday between Christian anarchist and a guy named Marshall Mathers. They're going to be debating between the Bible and the Quran. I don't know much about the topic, to be honest with you. I'm just moderating debate, hosting it, but. It might be an interest to you, but
no, actually, I'm not interested.
I'm really not that either, but I was
a victim of religion. Okay.
Ah, gotcha.
A victim of religion. So first, I tried. As I told you, I was a Muslim. Okay, and in 22 years, when I was 22 years old, I decided to convert to Christianity. Didn't work, but later I became a new ager for 15 years, okay, and now I left it. I become an atheist. So
you've gone from Muslim to Christian to new ager to agnostic to atheist.
Yeah. So no, I'm not interested in any religion. Actually, it is all false, and especially when it comes to science, it's against science. That's what I found.
Hogtie.
Tried hard to clean what is in religion and make it match with science or to suit with science, and I become a cleaner. Actually, the whole book should be thrown. No matter the Bible or the Quran, especially maybe the Quran. Things are against science.
I've never read it. I gotta tell you, I know so little about the Quran. It's not even funny. So little about it. Hogtie probably even knows way more about it. It's
close to the Old Testament, yeah. So actually, imagine that what is written in the Old Testament that should be practiced now. It is hard in the
Hogtie, do you want to inquire further?
Yeah, well, just on the note about the Quran, I have tried to read it a couple of times. I feel like I'm going to be in online discussions. I should be more familiar with it, and I have not. I have not made it all the way through. I am wondering though. I don't want to pry or dig into your personal business, but you're discussing moving to Canada. Is this a firm plan? Is it something that you've been researching? So I'm wondering, for example. Have you checked out there's a website we have for people in circumstances like what you're describing, and there is a phone number or email address you can contact. Do you have any contact with the Canadian government about this, or you're just thinking about it?
So that in British Columbia, so I'm waiting. Hope things will be fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer. It's a mixture. Your accent, I do understand what you're saying, but the connection is a little bit. Sorry, can you repeat the answer?
Sponsor that he's working on the process of my immigration, so I'm not sure. Hope things will be fine.
Okay, so it's a work in progress.
The word sponsor. You have a sponsor who's a citizen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, good to hear. Okay. Well, that's good. You will. I predict. My guess is you will enjoy it very much. Have you been to visit? Have you been here to visit at all?
I've never been in Canada, but I'm not sure. Do the people here? I mean, Canadians, they say they like it, and especially the immigrants, they like it, and they prefer to go to Canada more than.
Yeah, Canadians are okay people, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so they're okay. I suspect they only dislike the cold weather.
The cold is no problem. You'll be okay with it. You put on a coat. You'll be fine. Well, let me say, and I think maybe we should leave it at that. If unless you want to talk more about it, but I think you'll enjoy it. you will find a place.
Due to global warming, Canada will be an arid desert in a matter of a couple of decades anyways, so, you know.
Yeah, also.
You know.
You can see that the Middle East become more, the climate change is influencing the Middle East, and the weather is very hot and...
Well, I'm glad that you're making you have an ability to get to Canada, and you're making progress in your immigration, so that's a good thing.
Maybe next year I'm in Canada.
That's not too far away.
Anyway.
That's not too far away. But I am going to probably call this to a close. It's been over 3 hours, but I'm so glad that you were able to finally get in. Hopefully, I know you've been in a live chat for quite some time, and we've been talking about getting you in. So please join us like anytime that there's a hangout. Come on in.
Can I ask a question?
Oh yes, certainly.
Steve, can you delete my participation in this channel?
Can I delete your
delete my when I join? Okay, delete the part that
I tell you, yeah. I
you know why? Just I'm shy from my accent. I think maybe I pronounce things wrong. Maybe just I'm shy from my accent. I don't want people to make fun of me. Okay.
I can edit at posting, but do you really want that? I think everybody is actually enjoying this conversation, and nobody was ever going to make fun of your accent. I guarantee it, because I will bitch slap them into next week.
My part, okay?
Yeah.
Delete my part, okay?
I will by request if that's what you really want, but don't request that. Don't request that because you feel insecure. Because like I said, if anybody mocks you, I will end them. Okay. Let me talk to you off air about this, because like I said, I'd be happy to do that for you as a personal request, but I don't think it's necessary. I think people want to see this and they're enjoying this part of the conversation. And they are paying attention to what you're saying.
Maybe another time I will try to pronounce things better.
You sound fine.
As you can see, another time.
What it is. I want you. What it is not your. It's not your accent. What's happening is because you have your camera on, your bandwidth is limited, and so there's a lot of vocalized pausing and a lot of breaking up that's going on. That's why people are having a hard time understanding you. It has nothing to do with your accent. And if you go back and watch this afterwards, you'll see you're perfectly clear. We understand fluently what you're saying. It's just that there's like a 2 second.
It's up to you then.
Okay, but you guys agree with me? You guys understand? There's just like a second, 2 second, 3 second lag, and we're like, what is she? We were trying to fill in the blanks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, you're just fine. So don't be self-conscious. Matter of fact, the first time people come in, you're doing 1,000 times better than some other people. So yeah, this is awesome. Thank you.
I think so.
Okay, it's up to you.
It is rare, and it's a pleasure when somebody comes in with information that none of us knew.
Absolutely.
The fact that E. coli, one strain of it, only very recently became dangerous to humans. I don't think any of us knew that.
No.
And we appreciate somebody comes in with something new.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. In this century, I mean, it's at all harmful or pathogenic. But anyway, as you can see, before the HIV, as you can see, people didn't know about it, that virus. Many bacteria that didn't exist actually, but because
I had no idea.
The evolution and sharing genes. Yeah, sharing genes.
Yeah. Well, no, I think your time here has been very good. I know people in the live chat, like people who are watching, are saying that they've enjoyed this. They don't want to see your part removed. I think, Steve makes a very good point about the lag. You're calling from quite a distance, and sometimes you'll be talking, we hear you talking about 3 seconds later. I know as you and I were talking, I would say something and you'd start to answer, but I'd still be talking, and that's a little awkward. We might talk next time about maybe if you leave your camera setting to off. For example, my camera is turned off right now. It actually makes the sound much smoother. But your appearance and your information, everything here has been really good. I would like to keep it.
And people in the live said they said your accent is beautiful.
Thanks. Thanks everyone. Okay. Next time maybe I will turn the camera. I will not open it, and maybe my voice would be more clear.
Okay.
To improve my accent, since. Yeah, Steve, I will not take time from you, and all the chatters here. Nice to meet everyone here, and really I enjoy.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's good. Gracias too.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming in. Yes.
Only take time. Okay. Bye bye. I will move now.
Yeah, you know what? The second half of the Hangout was better than the first, so I really hate to delete it because the educational stuff is I enjoy. So, but anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys.
Oh wait, Steve. Maybe I can have a little discussion with Hochtai over why he is a fish.
Oh God. I know Nathan came in to kind of give us some information, but I think it kind of passed the point, and I know Stuart got here late, but it is getting late. I would kind of like to end this so people can actually watch this in its entirety. You know, we can always have those conversations later on. I'm sorry, Stuart, but I want to thank everybody for joining. We had a huge audience today. Well, pretty significant. I mean, about 70 people watching throughout the entirety. I'm going to watch Ronnie's 7-minute video after I eat, and then laugh at that. So go check it out. Probably.
Pure content. Right back.
Oh God! It's just, again.
It's just, the biggest danger is choking and chuckling.
Dude, again, look at the quality of Hangouts we have compared to what he fucking has, and that's why he gets 3 people watching.
No, I don't care.
But he thinks that his thing is so popular. Oh, Dave's coming in. I recognize his name. Yeah, Dave. I recognize this name. I'm just trying to remember from where.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave.
Be on it. A new person joined.
Yeah, but I've been talking to him on one of the threads, and I just don't remember which one it was.
I tell you what, in terms of while you're working that out, Ronnie's got a video up at 7 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if somebody messages me that Ronnie put up a video that doesn't contain whining and lying about other people and being a big victim and never being wrong about things, if it's something else, then I'll watch it. If he wants to talk about senescence or some actual science thing, then I will watch it. But at this point, I have now missed so many True Empiricism little Hangouts because they're all the same. Like I miss them without missing them.
I have a rule that pretty much anything over 10 minutes that he or any other than put out, I won't watch. Generally speaking, I don't watch. I'll get a glimpse of. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'll get a glimpse of, but if it's longer than a 10-minute video, I just don't have the patience. So
yeah,
whatever.
Well, I don't care how long it is. If he wants to talk about something.
Well, yeah, but I mean, sure. Yeah, I mean,
if he wants to hold a hangout, if he ever wants to hold a hangout that isn't, with the door barred and not letting in, like he lets in people that he thinks he can best in conversation, right? So that they can sit there and say, oh, can you believe this thing Brenda said? Oh, can you believe the thing that what's his name, Phony Beetle Maniac said? Right. Well, can anyone believe the thing that Fiona said? No, because she can't go in. Can anybody believe the thing that Hogtie says? No, because Hogtie can't go in. Well, I'm talking to myself in third person. Even when the HTC, I'm going to call myself that all.
But even when they did, even when he did let you in, HTC, you were summarily you were booted out at some point. I mean, even if you as soon as you make a valid point against him, conversation's done. Right? He doesn't like to lose face.
Yeah. No, so if he has a hangout with somebody where he actually talks about stuff, then I'll watch it. If he, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Dave, I liked your first idea better. It's time to.
Yeah, Hogtie, you're starting to talk like the HT Wicks, so I'm gonna have to end this.
The HTC, I'm gonna call myself.
Yeah, the HTC.
I tell you what, I liked your idea better. So whether or not you wish to release the audience to let them go have a day that's more productive than listening to us talk, I am going to leave you all and go have a day that's more productive than
me too, guys. So as always, I give somebody the last word. Nathan, since you just didn't get a chance, I'm gonna give you the last word, Nathan. So
he came in to educate me.
Yeah, so he's the last word.
Maybe I should apologize to you for accidentally banning that flat earther. It was 3 a.m. At my place, and I wanted to mute and hit block, and even before I even noticed, someone else had already corrected it.
Was this in my Hangout?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember. Don't worry about it.
Well.
Yeah, don't worry about it. All right, guys. With that, I'm going to end this, and I will we'll have another Hangout in the next couple days to talk about the upcoming event with Kent Hovind and KC Part 2. Again, it's going to be huge. I will be having all the links ready to go several days out for you guys to send it on.
When will it be? When will the date
It is June 30th, 5 o'clock Pacific or 5:30 Pacific. They haven't really narrowed it down yet, but I want all the leaks out there where people can send it out on their other feeds and Twitter. I think this is going to be massive because, like I said, the after show, it's well on its way to have 10,000 hits already in a matter of 2 weeks. It's already, I think it's pushing almost 8 right now. So that's going to be my biggest video, and I think that the after show to the debate for the next one is going to be bigger because, one, people know about it now. They're expecting it. Nobody else is having an after show. Casey is not. Kent's not. And I will invite some very prevalent people if I can to the after show. I can't make any promises, but maybe I can get with some people that, you know, part of the community that are the bigger names, and they might want to chime in. So anybody is open to come in for the most part, but I think that's going to be really fun. So, okay, guys, sound good? Can I get an amen?
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Bye, guys.
Can I get an amen? Can I